side, a high around 82 this afternoon. A dry breeze out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear and comfy tonight, a low of 58. Let's keep it going tomorrow. Mostly sunny and 83 Wednesday. Humidity remains low. Our next chance of rain does not arrive until late Friday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
We have been talking about this for weeks, and tonight is the big night for everybody in St. Charles County. Listen, this is open to everybody, but especially those of you in St. Charles County. Come on out and join us tonight at the Scheidegger Center for the big debate in the race for St. Charles County Executive. All the details are at NewsTalkSTL.com. Once again, this is a completely free event. This is not one of those where you have to have an RSVP or a ticket. Just plan to come on out and show up. Debate starts at 7. Pre-debate programming will start around 6:30, 6:35, something like that. But the gentlemen running for office, the contenders, they will take this stage and they will start the debate at 7 o'clock. Once again, NewsTalkSTL.com for more details. All right, good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. Hey, it's Mike here. A couple other things going on. The dust is still settling from the Illinois Assembly. And, they raised taxes and they're spending a lot more money. Imagine that. So around 8:05, our buddy Ted Dabrowski, of course, he ran for governor in this last election on the Republican side, also the founder of Wirepoints news service. He's going to help us assess the damage that was done and see where we go from here. So basically, we got a lot of ground to cover. Now, speaking of malfeasance with your tax dollars, Congress. Yeah, let's start there. Turns out there's a lawsuit by some current and former members of Congress, both Republican and Democrat, saying, hey, we didn't get a raise. We didn't get a cost of living adjustment. We're suing over that. Even some members who aren't in Congress anymore are suing to get back pay. Imagine that. All right, we spoke with Demian Brady from the National Taxpayers Union about this and what it could cost. Frankly, you, even though it's not the biggest expenditure, still, come on, guys. We're hurting over here, and you're worried about back pay on a congressional salary. Yeah, here's what Demian had to tell us.
Times are tough for a lot of people right now. Costs are going up. Gas prices dipping down a little bit. We don't know if it's going to stay that way or not. But have you even considered the plight of the current and the former politicians who didn't get their taxpayer-funded cost of living adjustment? Did you even think about them, Susie?
I confess I have not.
That's part of the problem right there.
I know.
They're starving. Maybe
Poor little
not.
critters.
All right. I saw this this post from our friends at the National Taxpayers Union.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, you're going to see dumb stuff in politics from time to time. And this one just kind of had me
from time to time.
Had me shaking my head here. So I'm looking at Demian Brady's article here. Lawmakers should drop back pay lawsuit to protect taxpayers and the reputation of Congress. Because Congress has such a great reputation to start with.
Ship may have sailed.
Damian joins us right now. And Damian, I think when I'm reading through your piece here, we're not even talking about current Congress critters. We actually have some people who aren't in Congress now who are arguing they should at least get a COLA raise. Am I getting this right?
Yes, it's people don't know about this case, and whenever I tell them about it, the response is generally outrage. So going back to 1989, Congress passed a law providing for automatic pay increases for members of Congress that would be based on, a certain formula for cost of living adjustments. And they did this because, it's awkward for Congress to go out and give itself a pay raise. So they said, well, let's make it automatic. And then we won't have to worry about this. And there were some other ethical reforms thrown in there to try to limit outside income and such. And then in 1992, this is really interesting, the 27th Amendment was ratified. And this was an amendment that was originally drafted by James Madison, and it was a way to stop Congress from lining its own pockets, saying that if there's going to be a change in salary, then you're going to have an election in between, so it can't go into effect until after an election. So let's prevent. The intent for James Madison was to stop politicians from giving themselves automatic pay increases without having to face an election. So since 2009, Congress has generally voted to block those automatic pay increases that were included in the law that was passed in 1989. So then a couple years ago, a handful of current and former members said, hey, a lot of those votes that froze the COLAs that saved taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars violated the 27th Amendment. So we should get retroactive pay increases. It's really outrageous to think that they deserve a pay increase when we have a government that has a $39 trillion national debt. It's really outrageous.
Good morning, Demian. This is Susie Moore. I'm trying to. I had to go back and kind of look at the 27th Amendment because it escaped me what it stood for. But then when I'm seeing that they're claiming that somehow freezing the COLA increases violates the 27th Amendment, I'm having a little trouble wrapping my brain around that. How is it in violation of it?
So their argument, and the judge agreed with them in a recent ruling, saying that under law, salaries, the congressional salaries are automatically going to go up every year. So if you block that without having an election in between, that violates the 27th Amendment. So by freezing it, the judge has agreed with the plaintiff, saying, yep, that violates the 27th Amendment because you're changing member salary. So it's a really convoluted legal argument, but the point is, it's really an affront to taxpayers that they are bringing this lawsuit. It could cost a lot of money. It's going to be really complicated to figure out the damages for it, but the real damages are going to be to taxpayers through higher deficit spending. And then the other thing is Congress has a pretty generous congressional pension system for itself, and that pension is based on the member's salary. So now if their salary is automatically higher as a result of this lawsuit, this is going to increase obligations for all the congressional pensions for current and former members of Congress. It's really an outrage that's going to just add to our federal debt.
Yeah, the article is lawmakers should drop back pay lawsuit to protect taxpayers and the reputation of Congress. And it was written by Demian Brady, who's with us right now. And Demian, there are some current members of Congress who just put it out there. They're like, I want the raise, I want the back raises. But there are a number of former members of Congress, like, for instance, Rodney Davis from Illinois. I like Rodney. I've interviewed him a few times. I've hung out with him once or twice. And I like Rodney, but I was surprised to see his name on there because he's been out of office for, 4 years, I think now? Something like that, Susie? Does that sound about right?
That sounds right.
And he was one of those that was a victim of the redistricting, and he ended up in a Republican versus Republican primary. And he's been out of office for a few years, and so he's now arguing, I'm owed money from my time in office before. I was really surprised to see that there were some lawmakers making that argument.
And these are just the people who are publicly on the lawsuit. There are probably others who are championing it, and it is a class action lawsuit. So, as the court tries to figure out if the plaintiffs are ultimately successive, how to calculate these costs, and then is it going to be automatic to all the former members, or are they going to have to apply for it? I mean, it's a lot of legal questions, which is why I'm urging these lawmakers, current and former lawmakers, to do the right thing and drop this lawsuit. And then there's steps that Congress can take to inform the judiciary that a freezing of congressional salary is not inconsistent with the 27th Amendment. And also Ralph Norman, Republican from South Carolina, has a bill that would repeal those automatic pay increases for members of Congress, which would undermine the basis of this lawsuit.
All right. So playing devil's advocate, is there an argument that they're in some way they are entitled to at least some of this back pay, or that it should have been handled differently than it was?
Well, that's another thing, too, because the plaintiffs are arguing that they should have gotten these pay increases. But, now that we know that it might be in violation of the 27th Amendment, if the plaintiffs are correct, maybe back at the time Congress would have done something different. Maybe they would have already repealed these COLA things. That's just another reason why, let's get together, let's drop this lawsuit, do the right thing so that we're not piling on debt. And, this is also, we're after some really controversial moments for Congress. We've had members resign for just horrible accusations of conduct and corruption in office. And so it's not a good time for Congress right now. And this is just going to further the damage to the reputation of Congress.
Okay, Damian, obviously the optics of this are just terrible, especially with the debt. We're all paying more for stuff. People are making decisions to cut back on things. And here you've got even people who aren't in Congress anymore saying, I want my raise from back then. Cut me a check. And so it's terrible optics. I think everybody would probably agree with that. But what would you recommend for a solution? Obviously, you want to drop the lawsuit, but is there something that needs to be clarified in the law, or are they just exploiting loopholes? I mean, in order to put this nonsense behind us, what's the best way, or what could Congress do to just settle this? Because honestly, I hate the fact that they basically said, we're going to get automatic raises unless we say no, so that they don't have to go on the public record and vote on it themselves, which, is a whole lot of transparency and heat they would take every year. So that was kind of a cowardly law to pass back in the day. But is there something that would solve this? And even though on the grand scale of the federal budget, this may be, peanuts, it's still a lot of money that's being taken from our paychecks and going into their bank accounts.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. They ought to, like as I said, they should drop the lawsuit. If members of Congress think they deserve a pay raise, they can vote on that. Congress has voted many times since 2009 to block the automatic salary increases. As I said, if you're freezing something, that should not be in violation of the 27th Amendment, and we should clarify that. The intent, as James Madison wrote the bill, was to stop members of Congress from self-dealing and giving themselves pay raises. It wasn't meant to prevent fiscal discipline by keeping salary the same from year to year. So that's the best way forward is to clarify what the 27th Amendment means, and if they deserve a pay raise, well, they can have a vote on it and see what taxpayers think. And I don't think anybody thinks that most of them deserve it with the state of the federal budget at this time.
Damian, I'm wondering if freezing salaries is a violation of the 27th Amendment, wouldn't automatically raising them be? I know you alluded to this earlier, and they passed the law before the amendment was passed. Has anybody ever challenged the law as it stands on that basis?
Well, that's another point that could be raised by the government who's defending this case. How is that not? Maybe it's because those were already in law in 1989. So there's a lot of thorny constitutional and legal questions here. But the bottom line is that the right thing to do is to drop this lawsuit and figure out a better path forward.
All right, Damian Brady from National Taxpayers Union. We find your article on this, and of course, there's all kinds of stuff I could have asked you about your day. What's the best way to be in touch with you and with your team?
Yeah, you can come to our website at ntu.org.
Okay, once again, 314-912-1019. That's the number to get involved in the conversations here. And come on out to the debate tonight. Matter of fact, we're partnering with West Magazine for this, and Dan Fox, their editor, is going to be with us to kind of preview the topics and what to expect from the candidates a little bit later on today as well. So a lot of ground to cover here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
The YMCA is just a starting line, for the true self blooms only when we find our purpose, what makes us tick below the surface. My why is diversity in unity, a safe space in my community, living with sincerity, giving every day my everything. With my why, I stand strong, seen and supported all along. It's a million faces in a mirror and everyone belongs. Find your why. Learn more at ymca.org for a better us.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Oh, geez. I just opened up the Rumble, and boy, everybody's already all over the place.
Good morning, Rumble.
Oh, man. You guys have had your Kofifi. Holy crap. That's great. That's great. Okay, so a couple things here, just in, before we get to the national news in a second. I guess maybe they aren't as desperate to reach a deal after all. Talking about Iran, I guess it depends on who you believe. We'll get to that in just a minute here. The St. Charles County debate tonight.
Yes,
that's happening.
Very important
tonight. It really is. And Jerome, I was just kind of thinking about not just the debate, but the way things are changing on how we communicate on politics and solving problems. Because we don't really solve problems anymore. We just want our team to win.
Yeah.
And I hate to put it like that, but it kind of takes me back. I'm in that weird generation with X here that I had enough exposure to the old timers who did it the old fashioned way, but I'm young enough to be here with the revolution of social media and everything like that. So I feel like my generation has this weird sets of experience that see both directions, backwards and forwards. And so I think around 7:20, I've got a couple observations that I think we're losing some important ways to solve problems, just like in our communities. The trade-off is that the social media machine allows you to do so much more on a large scale. But is it worth it? And is there a way to kind of refocus back on the problem solving? I'll make sense of that. I'm thinking maybe 7:20 or so.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll get into that just a little bit. But the debate tonight, these are the things that matter locally. And I don't know if there's anything else I'm going to say. We've either put it out there and convinced you to join in and show up and be a part of this conversation or not. I mean, we either have or we haven't. But if you were saying, I really want to hear from these candidates, tonight. Tonight's the night to do it. Doors open. The pre-program starts around 6:30. I think the doors open at 5:45 or something like that at the Scheidegger Center. We really appreciate the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University putting this on. We're happy to be a part of this, but that's going to be a really important discussion tonight.
Yeah, I know a few people as well that have asked how they could submit questions, which again, Mike Ferguson at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Just Mike.
Oh, just Mike.
Yeah, just Mike. MIKE at NewsTalkSTL.com. Yep.
Or Susie at NewsTalkSTL.com. These are people that are actually very thought-provoking in my day-to-day life. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see what other questions are going to be asked tonight.
Yeah, bring them on. Bring them on. Send them. I've got time to review them all. I'm going to be spending a lot of my afternoon just doing that. Okay, real quick. Iran, multiple reports say Iran just walks away from the negotiations. They're done.
They're done.
For now.
Yep.
The president says, no, they're not. We're still negotiating. Things are moving forward. Don't believe them.
Right.
So it comes down to who do you believe?
Can I pick neither?
Yes, you can pick neither.
I don't believe either one of them.
That is a completely valid place to land. Yes, the short answer is yes, you can do that. So I'm not even going to mess with that today. So we'll see how that looks by the end of the week. But yeah, we're negotiating. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. I mean, that's essentially where international body politic is right now.
When I have business clients or guests from out of town, I often take them to Cafe Napoli. I know they're going to enjoy any of the Napoli locations. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, next to Napoli C, Napoli Kirkwood, or Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Excellent food and intellectual conversation, if they bring the intellectual conversation. And NapoliSTL.com, NapoliSTL.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Perjury is not a thing anymore if you are testifying against Donald Trump.
Right, but they're under oath.
So was Cassidy Hutchinson.
You're right. No.
Cassidy Hutchinson was under oath.
No, you're right.
Saying
and she
that
lied.
Donald Trump grabbed the wheel of the beast when she wasn't even in the car. It was hearsay to begin with, and nothing happened to her. Nothing happened to Liz Cheney, who coached her.
You're learning my cynicism from me.
That's right. That's right.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
A few years ago, Steve Faircow's lungs were failing.
I don't think I had more than a couple weeks to live.
That's when Steve received a lung transplant made possible by an organ donor. Now Steve can do things he never imagined, like climbing 94 floors to the top of a skyscraper.
I never knew that breathing could feel this good. It's an incredible gift.
What could you make possible as an organ, eye, and tissue donor? Leave behind the gift of life. Go to organdonor.gov, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. This is primary day in a half dozen states, and that includes in California, where there's the governor's race and the closely watched L.A. mayor's contest. Other states with primaries today: Iowa and Montana, New Mexico, New Jersey, and South Dakota. 6 people killed, a mass shooting in Muscatine, Iowa.
The adult male suspect had left the residence prior to law enforcement's arrival, but was quickly identified as Ryan Willis McFarland, 52 years, Muscatine, Iowa. Officers located McFarland on the Riverfront Trail near the pedestrian bridge. While talking to Ryan Willis McFarland, he took his own life.
Muscatine Police Chief Anthony Key says it's believed all of the victims were related to McFarland. A horrific interstate crash, Northern Virginia, allegedly caused by a non-English speaking bus driver, naturalized U.S. citizen from China.
The bus driver accused of causing a chain reaction crash on Interstate 95 in Virginia on May 29th that killed 5 people has been charged with 5 counts of involuntary manslaughter and 1 count of reckless driving. Court records show Jing Shangdong of Staten Island, New York, paid a fine after being convicted of speeding in Virginia in 2024, going 73 miles per hour in a 55 zone. He was also cited in Annapolis, Maryland, driving a motor coach 72 miles per hour in a 50 zone. Authorities say Dong was driving the bus from New York to North Carolina when he struck a line of vehicles that slowed down in a work zone. A family of 4 from Greenfield, Massachusetts, on their way to a wedding were killed, as was a 25-year-old woman from Worcester. I'm Jennifer King.
President Trump suggests a U.S.-Iran deal could be just around the corner, perhaps in a week or so. The Dow futures down 196 points. NASDAQ futures off 26. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're kicking off a stretch of really nice June weather that will last through the rest of the work week, really. It all starts today with lower humidity, plentiful sunshine, a high around 82 this afternoon, a dry breeze out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear and comfy tonight, a low of 58. Let's keep it going tomorrow. Mostly sunny and 83 Wednesday. Humidity remains low. Our next chance of rain does not arrive until late Friday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
It's time to tee off at Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge. Experience one of Jefferson County's premier courses, nestled among picturesque rolling hills. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you'll love the lush fairways, challenging holes, and friendly atmosphere. Make your next round unforgettable at Sugar Creek Golf Course. Open to the public, but you can also become a member. Just log on to sugarcreekgolfcourse.com for more information and tee times. sugarcreekgolfcourse.com. Democracy is loud, and tonight, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate tonight. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis & Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be playing for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, as of right now, and this is what we thought was going to happen, Susie, Amendment 5 stays on the Missouri ballot for August, which is exactly what happened is exactly what we thought was going to happen. So where do we go from here? We'll get to that in just a minute. A little bit later on, all the eyes are on some of these big primary races, especially California.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So 6:20. Go ahead and start sipping away at your caffeine there, Susie, because we're gonna dive into that.
I'll get right on that.
That's right. Do that. And then 6:35. Did you see there was another case of musicians and band that were so really a big deal decades ago decided to lecture their audience about stuff that's political and stuff?
I saw it on the show sheet. I did not see it before that.
Yeah, I've got the audio from the concert, which just happened a couple days ago.
I'm whelmed.
Yeah. Not overwhelmed, just whelmed. Yeah.
Are you telling me that Spinal Tap dropped out now?
Yeah, sure.
They went to 11.
That's right. Okay. No, yeah. It's just the question is, and this is a band I really like. I mean, I love their music, but I'm like, why you got to be dumb? And then you've got, I don't know if it was hundreds or thousands. I think probably a few thousand, because it's like they're paying customers.
It's the quest to be relevant.
Yes, that's the question I want to bring up at 6:35, because they just don't get it. What happens to some people? They get on stage and suddenly think they're important. Oh, my goodness. All right, 6:07 right now. Let's go back to a little bit closer to home here. Amendment 5, the amendment in Missouri that would repeal the state income tax. That was being challenged, which this is just par for the course. Opponents challenge everything regardless of what side you're on. If they're going to put it on the ballot or they're going to get it passed, you challenge it.
Yep.
Okay, so that's just part of the routine now. I'm not sure it's healthy, but it's just a tactic now. It's just the way that it is. And so opponents, basically what they do is they find someone who's an activist or somebody who's at least a supporter of whatever. Hey, put your name on this and we can sue. And that's what they did. The left, I don't know if it was the Democratic Party or whoever Chuck Hatfield was hired to represent, they found somebody who's like a retired school teacher, and she put her name on the lawsuit. And that's just so somebody has standing.
Okay.
Yeah. And they argued that Amendment 5 it involves more than one topic, which would be against Missouri law and Missouri Constitution. Okay. Judge Limbaugh in Cole County rejected that. And we talked about this yesterday. And so basically, here's the follow-up. He essentially said, no, I'm not messing with this. The legislature put it on. It stays on the ballot, but I know you're going to appeal, so I'm giving you a ruling as fast as I can.
Yep.
Because there's a deadline coming up the deadline to change the ballot's coming up, not even in like a week. And so the appeal's already been filed, which we knew was going to happen. I have a feeling that they probably had the appeal already ready, just to copy and paste a couple things on the
you can
ruling.
On that.
Yeah, and then it was filed within probably an hour or 2 hours in Cole County. And so that's where that is. No big surprise on that.
Now, okay, was the appeal filed? It was filed to the Western District, right?
Wait
a second. I'm sorry.
In Cole County. Well, I mean, the Cole County ruling, so they're appealing from Cole County.
To the Western District
to
Appellate
Western
Court,
District,
and then it'll go to the Supreme. It doesn't go straight to the Missouri Supreme Court.
Right.
Okay.
So the Western District is going to have to rule something very quickly as well. I guess they're not required to, but there's a ballot deadline, and those ballot deadlines, I mean, that applies to the Secretary of State, and the courts can do what they want.
If it's feasible, they will try to do
right. That. Yeah. So my guess is probably within, and we're going to have Attorney General Catherine Hanaway on early next week.
Great.
To give us the updates on this. But this is, tell me behind the scenes, Susie, pull the curtain back a little bit on these sorts of things where we know that the challenges are going to happen. We know there are time-sensitive things on it. Do the lawyers up the line a couple things, say, okay, here's we're going to do this ruling. Okay, if it goes this way, we're going to appeal. If it goes this way, you're going to appeal. And do they sort of grease the skids to make sure that these things can get through, not determining the outcome of whatever the courts are going to do, but if you know it's going to be appealed, do they sort of prep for that?
Well, Yes and no. Very rarely are they coordinating with the opposition. Like if you're
Right.
going to feel we're going to, I mean, there's not that.
But everybody knows it's going to be appealed, sort
It's
of
not a
thing.
mystery.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
normal part of the process. So, I mean, there are some things that don't get appealed just because they're not worth it.
Right.
But anything like consequential like this, you kind of expect that. Yeah, that's just
Right.
par for the course.
Yeah. And then here's the other side here is I'm trying to be really careful because anybody can amplify a voice on social media, make something sound bigger than it actually is. And then there's also the bubbles that we get into, and we're just talking to people out and around because we tend to gravitate to our own tribes and stuff. But one of the things that I think is really interesting is if this vote happened right now, I don't think Amendment 5 passes.
Probably not.
I don't. Now, that's not to say that it can't, but I think the supporters of Amendment 5 have a real uphill challenge right here.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I think it's because this is a difficult topic to message on.
Yes.
Because it's a little cerebral. A lot of people, myself included, hear taxes and start, immediately their brain starts doing that little thing where it's like, I'm going to go over here and think about something else because it makes their head hurt. So they aren't really drawn to the topic. It's an uncomfortable topic. It's a little heady. So if you can't,
very in the weeds.
It is, and if you can't summarize it in like one punchy sentence, you're going to start losing people. And on top of that, you have a very strong resistance to or instinctive distrust of the Republican supermajority legislature by anybody who thinks that they're like anybody who opposes Donald Trump. There's that sort of immediate association. So immediately anything they do is going to be bad and I'm not going to like it. There's something sneaky there. There's something they're trying to put one over on us and it's going to screw people over. They are very quick to buy into that. And there's a lot of people who may not even be like, suffering from Trump derangement syndrome who are just kind of skeptical of it. And then you're talking about taxes and changing things up and changing the Constitution. And they're not going to be sold unless you can show them very simply, no, look, here's what we're doing. This is to benefit everybody. This is where it's restructuring it, and it's to be the most efficient taxation scheme that we could possibly have if you're going to have taxation at all.
Comfort zones are very powerful.
Very.
And here's what the supporters of Amendment 5 have a very complicated thing to sell to the public. Complicated is scary. I'm not talking about the people who go out of their way to take in news and talk, whether it's on our side on a station like this or whether it's on the NPR side or the PBS side or the whatever, because there are people who are going to go out of the way and they make up their minds based on what they say. Remember, the majority of voters are exactly what Susie's talking about here, what you're talking about, Susie. And so the supporters say, we've got a plan that we think is going to make the state more competitive. Look what's happened in other states. But they have a complicated thing to sell, whereas the opponents have a very simple emotion to sell, which is, this is change. This is scary. Your taxes are going to go up on sales taxes.
Right.
Well, the taxes may not go up. Matter of fact, I doubt that they would, but they would be applied to more things.
Right.
Well, that's an important distinction, but it's a complicated distinction.
There's also the built-in narrative that's always been spun by the left that anything Republicans want to do with taxes has to do with benefiting the rich and screwing the little guy.
But what's interesting is there are a lot of Republicans siding with the Democrats on this. Democrats are united against Amendment 5. They do not want government to be curtailed in taking tax money. They want big government. They want government taking. It's because, and this, I'm not like slamming, but this is what makes those on the left. On the left is that they think of in terms of government prioritizing the consumption. They think of government being the source. So you got to feed the machine in order to benefit from the machine, and the machine then determines who wins and who loses, and that's just one of the things that makes you on the left.
That's been something very terrifying, in my opinion, about interacting with some of my Democratic people about Amendment 5 and it's the mentality that if only we gave more money to the government, suddenly they would start doing everything they promised to do, and it's because we don't pay enough that we don't get these results. But we're not in a national, we don't have state deficits because they don't have enough money. It's because they spend too much and they're ineffective.
Right. Oh, we're going to talk about Illinois later. but yeah, on the Missouri side, because that's the thing is there are a significant number of Republicans siding with Democrats on this right now.
Do you know what they're citing as their reason for that?
What I have seen are some graphics that have been put out there, and when you trace the graphics back, they come from activist groups on the left. And so what they're arguing, though, is, and honestly, this is a fair point, is that this amendment would essentially suspend parts of the Hancock Amendment because it would allow changes to be made to the sales tax, because under Missouri, under the Hancock Amendment, any tax increase has to be voted on by the people. Mm-hmm. And what the supporters of this are saying is, no, this is compliant with the Hancock Amendment because you pass this, then you give us permission to make some changes to the tax code in other areas. So you are voting on it. You're voting on it with Amendment 5. And others are saying, no, but if you're going to raise sales taxes and then put it on to things like Netflix or whatever, we need to vote on that as well. So again, it's very complicated, right, and the burden is on those who are trying to make the change. So even if it's going to be a net positive, it's hard to sell.
Yes, it is. Very much so. What's not hard to sell is what's going on tonight.
Yes.
Tuesday night at the J. Scheidegger Center at Lindenwood University. It's being put on by News Talk STL and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise and St. Charles Republican Central Committee, the St. Charles County Executive Debate.
Yes.
It's going to feature, of course, the three main candidates, which is Steve Ellman, Jason Law, Bill Eigel, and then Mike and I and another panelist are going to be asking the questions, and we are really excited. So we hope you will come out there. If you want to find out more about it, you don't have to reserve anything. Nope. You don't have to pay anything. You just have to check it out. Just go to newstalkstl.com, and you'll have all the information there.
I might even wear a tie tonight.
I might even wear a suit.
Ooh.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Trolley Stop Bakery, DG Firearms, and The Yard Guy. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
The place we used to live in, you could say it wasn't much, but it was home to us. And you could be forgiven
but it was home to us.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We're about to go right into one of Susie's wheelhouses here. Big elections today, primaries. Did you even see the change? Yes! Especially, I mean, listen, New Jersey, Iowa, there's like 5 or 6 states, I think. South Dakota. Yeah, South Dakota. Yeah, because they're actually, the lieutenant governor obviously became the governor when Kristi Noem was put into President Trump's cabinet. But I was reading today, and I have not followed the race. Apparently, the lieutenant governor may not keep the gig. He may not actually get elected.
Yeah.
There's Congressman Rhodes, I think, is.
Yeah, Dusty Rhodes, I think is who it is.
Yeah, so I hear Dusty Rhodes, and all I think of is the pro wrestler from the 80s.
Well, and I think of a country song, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the name recognition is there, and I don't know enough about South Dakota politics to know who's really got the big mo. But yeah, there's 6 different states having primaries today, but the real focus is going to be California.
Totally California.
And ironically, they're the one that we're not going to know anything about by the end of the evening tonight because they count ballots from now until the end of time.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, until the Democrat gets elected.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Is what I mean.
So, and then I wanted to. So let's talk about California for a couple minutes, and then we got to talk about this Graham Plattner stuff.
Do we though?
Good God. Okay, so California, really there's several races, but they're looking at the primaries for mayor of Los Angeles and then governor of California on this.
Yes, and these are the primaries.
Right, but it's not the primaries the way that we think of them here.
They're not party primaries.
They have what they call a jungle primary. And that means all the candidates are thrown into a big bucket and they're shaken up quite a bit and then they're dumped out on the ground and then the top, actually I would pay to watch something like that.
Yeah,
but anyway,
right?
So they would, then what happens is the top 2 candidates, regardless of which party, advance to the general election. So you could have 2 Democrats. In theory, you could have 2 Republicans. Not really, but in theory, you could do that. And then I don't know if the idea was that 1 Republican and 1 Democrat would eventually go to the top, or if they really just wanted to make sure there were always Democrats.
Oh no, the idea was that there would always be Democrats.
Right.
No, I mean there's you could not even really make a straight face argument that wasn't the complete intention of it.
But there's 20 candidates, which is not unusual. But there are some bigger names with 3 or 4 of them on the ballot, at least. So it looks very, very looks like we could have a real humdinger going on out there in this primary.
Well, yeah, and keep in mind the congressional seat primaries are going on too.
Yes.
But the ones that have really drawn the attention are the gubernatorial and then the LA mayoral.
Right.
And so you've got in the gubernatorial, you had a situation where, first of all, the 2 top Republicans were actually doing very well, and there was a theoretical thought at one point that it could end up with 2 Republicans on the general ballot, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and also, can we keep in mind that between what was his name? There was Schwarzenegger, but then who was the other one? It wasn't Wilson, was it? But it wasn't all that long ago that California had a Republican governor.
Oh no, yeah.
So it's not out of the question.
It's not. So Steve Hilton is the lead Republican. Right. Chad Bianco, who's a former sheriff, is the second Republican. But I don't think he's going to have enough to get to the top 2. But then you had Eric Swalwell, who was in the lead for the Democrats, who dropped out after
after being very Swalwell-y.
Yeah. And then that left Katie Porter, who no one likes, and Tom Steyer, who's the vanilla billionaire. And then so all of a sudden Javier Becerra kind of comes on strong. He's the former Biden HHS secretary, and so now he's kind of thought to be the leader of the pack. But that's going to be really interesting to watch. Steve Hilton he's consistently polled at the top. He's the Republican, obviously. And so he's got a decent shot of making the top 2, except for it's California.
Right.
And then the mayoral race, of course, involves Karen Bass, who, if anyone looks at her and thinks she's competent, I don't know what the heck. I mean, the way she's handled just the role itself, and particularly the fires, is just atrocious.
This works the same way though in LA,
yes.
Right? So it's jungle primary, and so she's last I saw, and take polling for whatever it is. You know what my thoughts are in the state of polling right now is that she was still ahead of everybody else, but not by much.
Not by much, and so Nithya Raman is not an assembly member. is it border supervisors? They've got weird
Yeah.
titles out there. Anyway, she's basically like a county council person. She's challenging basically from the left, Karen Bass, if that's possible. And then you've got Spencer Pratt,
right,
the former reality star, the one that everybody hated back in the day because he was like the jerk on the show. And he lost his home in the Palisades fire. His parents lost their home. And this kind of energized him and got him motivated. And he has kind of staged a guerrilla campaign, if you will, that's been extremely energized and has a lot of people's attention. And is it going to be enough? I don't know.
Yeah,
but he is campaigning like somebody who really wants the job and who really wants to make things better in LA. And God knows they've gotten horrible.
Here's a question. I mean, to me, if you are a betting man, do you bet on a Republican in the city of Los Angeles in the general election? Probably not. But here's the thing is, could there be enough of an impact from the campaign to put enough fear into whatever deity they want? You want to put in, because it's California, it could be anything weird, that they go, ooh, maybe we need to pull back from this fringe stuff. Boy, that was close.
No. And we've seen over and over again, there's not going to be that reflection and that learning. What could happen is this. Karen Bass is not an inspiring candidate.
No, not at all.
She's not a commanding speaker. She doesn't inspire confidence. She's not done a great job. There is an opening here because of the fires and because of the overall frustration with people who literally cannot take their babies out in walks for strollers without encountering zombies on the sidewalk.
Oh, I've walked through those zombies in LA.
Yeah,
I have personally seen it.
We're not talking about Skid Row. We're talking about all over the place.
I was at Skid Row, yeah.
But even in Skid Row, then Spencer has capitalized on the fact that the animals, the pets, dogs and cats that are they're being abused and killed and tortured on Skid Row just because of the nature of the situation. And he went straight to the heart of that. And if you don't think that's going to appeal to a sizable portion of the LA voting population, you don't know LA. They love their pets.
By the way, Skid Row is an actual place. You can find it on the map. It's called Skid Row.
It is.
It's like literally there. And the weird part is when you're walking around LA, so when I was there, you go through these fancy, beautiful people, hipster areas, and then the next block is Skid Row. And then the next one over is another beautiful hipster. I mean, it's all like right there, but you see the zombies walking around everywhere. I mean, and I've had to step aside and get out of the way because they didn't know I was coming, and they are walking like zombies. I mean, it's a real thing. I've seen it.
Well, and the thing of it is, it's not contained to a small area anymore. That's what's gone on here. And it's just been allowed to, the homelessness situation has been millions and millions of dollars have been thrown at it, and it's only gotten worse and worse and worse. And so he's tackling these issues that, honestly, Angelenos do care about. And I don't know that they're so madly in love with Karen Bass that he doesn't have. I mean, he does have a chance. I'm not holding my breath. I won't be surprised if he makes it through to the top 2.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think Nithya Raymond is particularly inspiring at all either. Yeah. So that's when, and why are we sitting here in St. Louis talking about a mayoral race? But same reason we talked about Mamdani in New York. I mean, that's one of the biggest cities in the country, and it has
Brandon Johnson in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, in some respects, the canary in the coal mine. And so it's worth talking about, and it's worth watching what is working and is motivating people to vote differently than how they always do.
Okay, in Maine, let's go to the other part of the country. Graham Plattner.
Rock lobster.
Wow. And so now there's the new thing is that apparently he's, I guess, just been married a couple of years. And he's continuing to stay online and sexting with apparently a variety of women. And so that leaked out. And Ken Paxton's been linked to a bunch of extramarital affairs, but Ken Paxton doesn't have a Nazi tattoo on him, so it's just.
I don't think he has a Kick account either.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't. What Kick is? What, just a dating site? What's Kick?
Go, Jerome.
It's like Discord's a private messaging server where there's a lot of predatory content that gets shared between people due to lack of moderation.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean it's you don't want to have an account on Kick.
Okay. So
unless you're up to no good, of course, then you want to have one.
So I win that one. I don't have one. But I mean, and the thing is that this guy actually could still win.
Yeah, well, the Democrat primary.
Right, he's going to win the Democratic primary, yeah.
Probably, except for Janet Mills is now kind of coming back out of the woodwork
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, look, I just suspended my campaign. I didn't call it quits." She's giving them an option. She's giving them an out. So it's like one of those things where it's like, well, wait a second. We don't want to force him out of the Democratic primary before, he's locked in on the general.
I mean, and if he goes through, then he faces Susan Collins, who's like, But as far as I know, she doesn't have a Nazi tattoo on her chest.
Well, you know what? I don't know that we've ever really verified one way or the other.
That's true. I mean, I didn't look.
I'm not
just putting it
asking
that
to.
way.
I'm just saying. Does anyone really know?
I'm not going to. I
No.
don't want to know.
No.
I'm just saying.
I'll take one for the team.
I think Susan Collins would much rather be facing Graham Plattner in the general.
Oh, yes. Yeah, without a doubt.
In other news, another band that was big decades ago lectures their audience about politics. Surprise, surprise. Hear what happened at 6:35 coming up.
Take us to. There wasn't time to make a fuss, 'cause that was all we knew. The world around us wasn't safe.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On News Talk STL.
And it was home to us.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate is here. Before the debate begins at 7 p.m., we'll be broadcasting live from Lindenwood with all of the candidates. Listen in or join us.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're kicking off a stretch of really nice June weather that will last through the rest of the work week, really. It all starts today with lower humidity, plentiful sunshine, a high around 82 this afternoon, a dry breeze out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear and comfy tonight, a low of 58. Let's keep it going tomorrow. Mostly sunny and 83 Wednesday. Humidity remains low. Our next chance of rain does not arrive until late Friday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
To have our great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hey, this is Carl Higbee, host of Frontline on Newsmax TV, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, I got a question. Why are so many musicians just dumb? Or actors or whatever. Why are they just dumb?
No, isn't.
All right, I'll get to that here in a minute. And the thing is a lot of times it's like, I was a big deal decades ago, so I have a right to tell you what's what because I know what's going. I mean, just another retro band lectures their audience, their paying customers, for something so innocuous it's ridiculous. And I'm like, what? And to me, I'm not even interested in just like finger wagging at them. I am genuinely curious as to what happens to your brain when you get enough people around saying you're a big deal or you were a big deal at one point. So you'll actually hear it for yourself here in a minute. 6:36 right now. I'm Mike. That's Susie. That's Jerome here. All right. Make sure RedState, how about this, is in your social media feed.
Yeah.
You should be following them. So follow them on the socials. And so, Susie, which stories might we see there on redstate.com today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Well, we continue to cover like all the big news items, the breaking news items. You can always find those there at Red State, but also you can find some kind of off the beaten path stuff. And I want to highlight a couple of those stories today. This one from Bob Hogue is titled "Woke Gone Wild." Biden and Kerry's vacation hotspot turns 4th of July into self-flagellation ritual. Yes, that's right. Nantucket has decided it's too white to rightly celebrate the 4th of July. So it's canceled its 4th of July celebration.
Oh, for God's sake.
So noble, so brave, so virtuous. Yeah, so Bob's got it right up there, and it's worth checking out. He's also got this one. We were talking about California. Shameless Newsom throws Bass under the bus, takes zero accountability for train wreck that is California. So basically, he doesn't care. He's not running for governor anymore. So what does he care what happens with Karen Bass? So he's basically like throwing her to the wolves, which is fine. It's kind of nice to see them.
He's going to have to be able to claim a little California hate like the rest of the country has if he wants to try to run for president.
Right. So he has to distance himself from her ineptitude instead of being lumped in with her. So he's basically like, not me. That's all her. So
somehow that's got to be racist. I don't know.
Well, yeah, duh. And then this is interesting. We've talked maybe a little bit about those mysterious disappearing and dying scientists. Mm-hmm. That's like kind of been up to like 11, 12, 13. I mean, I've heard someone say there were 17 of them. I mean, you keep having these situations where strange disappearances and deaths are happening. Well, one of them who disappeared from New Mexico last year, Melissa Casillas, was one of actually the biggest, most known cases. Her body was found. And Becky Noble has that article, Missing Los Alamos Scientist Found Dead at Mid-Probe into 11 Cases. So they did finally find her. That is a fascinating case. The Crime Junkie episode on it is really, really intriguing.
Yeah.
But that was before they found her body. So
okay.
So that's, and they still haven't determined the cause of death or anything like that, but Becky's got the write-up on it at RedState.
All right, redstate.com there. All right. You remember the Black Crows?
Of course.
I love the Black Crows. I love their sort of like that, just that Southern rock sort of just, kind of thing. They were doing a concert, I guess it was Sunday in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
The screen showed their mascot, which is, kind of a cartoon bird. You remember Heckle and Jekyll?
Yeah.
So kind of like
magpies.
That. Yeah, the magpies. But they put up a crow up there, and it was dressed up in like Uncle Sam type stuff in the cartoon. Okay, that's the setting. The crowd starts chanting, USA, USA, USA.
Well, duh.
This was apparently controversial to singer Chris Robinson. So here's the news copy I was sent. Chris Robinson of the Black Crows angered some audience members in Tampa Sunday night. A picture of the band's mascot dressed as Uncle Sam appeared on the big screen, and then some chanted, USA, USA. And that's when Chris said, "Thanks for the geography lesson. I don't know what you have to be proud of." And so then some back and forth happened on this, and then here's a little bit of the clip of what happened next.
Some of us have real faith. And for those of you booing us, some of us are not afraid. And we most assuredly are not ignorant. So thank you.
Okay, so there's the whole thing about you got the right to be a lefty if you want. Not a big deal. I still like their music. I always have. How is it good business to say, knowing that everything that you say is going to be on somebody's cell phone and on the internet, to have people come pay and to see and hear you sing songs from 30 years ago, and then tell them that you're ignorant if you disagree with his political takes? Lecturing the audience. I mean,
okay. Well, first off, I'm confused.
Yeah.
They've got a black crow dressed up as Uncle Sam, and they don't expect people to notice, reference, chant, do something in relation to that because that is a symbol of the U.S. What was he even talking about there? If you just, I mean, there's probably more to that, but.
No, they went right into another song.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is his words there, clearly there was some antagonism being ginned up, but I don't even know over what, because he didn't say anything one way or the other.
Yeah. This goes back to my original question. What makes some of these performers so dumb? I
think you're asking the question backwards.
Okay.
I don't think it's something that's making them dumb. I think living a life that is steeped in the celebrity culture and the entertainment world probably insulates them from acquiring wisdom. How about that?
Yeah, a better way of asking that question is, why is the music industry so attractive to dumb people? Because they're already dumb beforehand. I can tell you that from experience. A lot of these people are very dumb before they get famous, and it just gets amplified because now you have a whole crowd of other people telling you, actually, you are smart, and you are great, you are amazing, and that, I mean, I think naturally that just goes to people's heads.
I guess so. I mean, even the ones I agree with, I just kind of wish they would all sort of shut up about politics. Even I'm talking even the few that I agree with. I mean, because that's the thing is, when somebody we agree with gets up there and does a rant on politics and stuff, we're like, yes, this is great, more need to speak out. But when somebody on the other side does it, then just shut up and do your own. How about you just like listen, court, you're today's court jesters. Amuse me. Give me my money's worth.
So, okay, I'm going to push back just a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe just because of my own, because I didn't spend my adult life in the media world.
Mm-hmm.
That's recent. I mean, we have the luxury, this is our job. This is what we come to do.
Yeah.
We get to talk about politics. We get to expound upon it. In fact, we need to if we want to be successful in what we're doing.
Right, yeah.
But we forget that, other people don't have that same platform for that. So just that's why I say every day I get to say whatever I think about the political world, and I have a decent platform to do that, and other people don't necessarily have that. So I feel like some of it is them just trying to express their own thoughts, and they have every right to do that.
I do not argue with that.
But when you're talking about in the entertainment sphere, particularly if you're talking about while you are putting on a show that people have come and paid money to see, I do think, just like with sports, just like with anything like that, pick your venue. If you, that's when people are asking to be entertained. So that's when they're not asking for your political opinions.
Yeah, I would say music is inherently tied to politics, or at least social issues. I mean, throughout history.
Inherently tied, or that's just one of the tools everybody uses.
The very earliest forms of music had to do with the church. That's where you got Hildegard of Bingen. That's where you got Gregorian chant, and then that naturally evolved into Mozart and Beethoven and them way after, expressing themselves. And a lot of the classical music, even though it doesn't have lyrics, was inherently tied to some sort of invoking a sense of feeling and sometimes a reflection of what's going on during that particular time period. Then you get into the more folksy stuff and country music, so on and so forth. So I do think that there is an inherent level of at least an awareness of social issues that you're passionate about that lead you into talking about making the songs. But there's a difference. So the difference between them talking politics on stage and us talking politics is, one, I mean, you're smart, so you're trustworthy, you have that credibility. But two, it would be a lot different if in the middle of the segment you just pull out a ukulele and start strumming, right? I mean, nobody.
Hey, I mean, don't put it past me.
I would be impressed to do that. I'm not discouraging your creative endeavors, but there is a time and place.
I'll sing.
And I do think it really comes down to the fact that I think it's more egregious with actors, though, because these people get paid to play make-believe and pretend for a living.
Yeah.
That is the most egregious
Why are you
manifestation.
trusting? Yeah, so some musicians actually go through stuff and live real lives that they want to sing about, but you're trusting somebody who plays pretend for a living to get your opinions from. What are you doing?
No, I think that's a really good point.
Let me give an example here. For instance, we now know that Bruce Springsteen goes on his marble mouth rant in his own. That's like part of his concert. His right to do it. I don't care that he's adult when it comes to a lot of these things.
Can I just say that the Babylon Bee headline was Trump tells Iran this is the last warning before he sends Bruce Springsteen over to perform.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I saw
that this morning.
another one about deploying Yoko Ono to get people.
Oh no!
But with Springsteen, if he got on social media and said stupid stuff, or he in the interviews, and we knew that he was just going to do a show of his phenomenal catalog of music over all these years, which do address. I mean, Glory Days was dealing with the blue collar hardships of the 80s.
Born in the USA.
Born in the USA was an anti-war song, about Vietnam, and I would go to his concert, even though I know I would probably disagree with him on everything.
But you enjoy the music.
But I would go to enjoy the music, but I'm not going to pay money to have him lecture me and tell me so. It's a stupid market decision. And it's to insult your customers and then still act like, aren't you privileged to hear from me? I'm like, no, I paid money. I'm employing you to be today's court jester. Dance, monkey, dance.
Entertain me.
Just amuse me.
Yes.
This is your job. You are the equivalent of the court jesters who wore the little pointy hats with the bells. You're just now really famous, and we've shifted that influence to you instead of looking at you as we're paying you to amuse me for a little while.
Yeah. No, I agree on that for sure. I mean, that's probably it's like context. Context matters.
Oh yeah.
The mayor is not on board with giving some police officers a big raise in the city. We're going to tell you why, and that's in the news dump coming up at 6:50.
By a jumbo jet. It wasn't easy, but nothing is. No.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I have to tell my kids that I'm a rock star now.
on News Talk STL.
All of the time, but I'm never sure why I need you.
One of the things that's unique about St. Louis is how much architecture is really original here. I mean, we go through neighborhoods, or you go through other parts of the country, and you will see entire developments of the same 3 or 4 houses, just one after the other. One is green, one is blue, one is gray. It's just boring as heck. Listen, you want to make your property pop. You want to make your property be unique. You want it to reflect you. Not only do you need to look around what's inside, but how about what's outside? That's why you got to talk to my friends at Lime Concrete Block. Mike Ferguson here for Lime Concrete Block right here in St. Louis. Check them out, limeblock.com. They've got everything from the equipment and the block and the concrete mix and everything you'll need to set up that fantastic outdoor fireplace set, that fantastic stone walkway, those retaining walls, all the things that aren't just functional, but they're also beautiful and they add value to your home, both physically and as that curb appeal, but also that pride of ownership to say, that's mine. I used to love just going to walk around different neighborhoods, taking a walk, nice weather like right now. And then you see that brickwork, you see that stonework, and then you say, I really wish my home looked like that, or boy, that makes the neighborhood look fantastic. Let me tell you, those people probably went to Lime Concrete Block. Check them out. Just type in Lime Concrete Block right in your maps. They'll take you right there, and you bring in the idea. They'll equip you with whatever you need to get it done and help you get there with their expertise. So Lime Concrete Block. Tell them Mike was bragging about them on the radio.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capastrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too. On Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, so the fight in court is not over, but as of now, Amendment 5 still on the ballot for August in Missouri.
Yep.
Should some key city police officers get raises? And I hope you're planning to join us in St. Charles for the big debate this evening. 6:51 right now. Let's get our first news dump of the day in.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by The Nutrition Stop.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Amendment 5 stays on the ballot. That is the ruling from a Cole County judge on Monday. The challenge to the proposal claims it involves more than one subject, which would be against Missouri law. An appeal to the ruling has already been filed, as expected. The deadline to make any changes to the August election ballot is June 9th, so 1 week from today.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of activity on this pretty fast here. All right. A Brooklyn man who threatened to kill an ICE agent and their family is now facing federal charges. This after dozens of protesters were arrested Sunday night outside of New Jersey's Delaney Hall ICE facility, where the accusations is that the detainees are on hunger strike amid poor conditions. That's what the accusation is.
Allegedly.
Yes. Border Czar Tom Homan was on Hannity last night on Fox, saying the Justice Department is bringing lawsuits against all of those who attack law enforcement and government property.
One of our officers got bitten. Another officer got severely injured. I mean, they were attacking our ICE officers because the local and the state law enforcement wouldn't even respond to help us. Now, we got state and local doing their job.
And, of course, there's civil, but there's a lot of criminal cases that are being implemented here as well. Homeland Security Department denies the hunger strike is happening and denies allegations of poor conditions. New Jersey Senator Andy Kim, Democrat, he claims detainees showed him spoiled food. Newark's mayor imposed a curfew around the facility that's going from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., so basically one of those believe whoever you want on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, you can either have AOC crying up against the fence, or you can
next to the
listen to the people that are running the facility.
Yeah, the crying in front of the fence in front of the empty parking lot.
Yeah.
All right, the Board of Police Commissioners wants to use about $2 million to increase salaries for lieutenants, captains, majors, and lieutenant colonels. As KMOV's Russell Kinsall reports, Mayor Kara Spencer not on board with this idea.
The board says these raises would help keep current officers and make their salaries more competitive with the rest of the region. Mayor Kara Spencer sounded off about the proposal and how it could impact the city's finances. Mayor Spencer says, in part, this proposal would no doubt have major impacts not only on the SLMPD budget, but also on the city's overall budget, as it would necessarily trigger similar raises in the fire department. It is incredibly irresponsible to handle significant raises outside of a thorough and thoughtful process, which this hardly appears to be.
All right, if approved, those raises would take effect on July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And the Board of Police Commissioners is saying you're losing officers, and as not just street level officers, supervising officers and up the chain, you're losing them to much smaller departments that have less money because they can make more money and be safer.
I feel like this should be one of those and situations. Like, I understand what she's saying about, there needs to be like a careful, thoughtful process, and there are other expenses that need to be considered.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you also need to, I don't think you need to delay everything to do that.
I mean, this is the bill coming due from defunding the police.
Correct.
Not that Kara Spencer did that, but the previous administration, but this is the bill coming due, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
All right, city police say another round of smash and grabs happened over the weekend. Again, yeah. This time it was in the Central West End. Around 30 cars were broken into early Sunday morning around 2:30. According to KMOV, security video shows that at least some of the thieves were armed. This is the third time over the past month that multiple cars were broken into in one setting in what appears to be coordinated thefts. Police suspect that what they're really looking for is guns, but they'll take any valuables they can find.
Right.
So apparently parts of the Central West End just had glass everywhere.
Right. Who's leaving their guns in their car in the Central West End?
Somebody really dumb.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I understand there are times when you might do that, but
I can't think of a single time I would leave my gun in a car.
well, okay.
I mean, unless I'm like, you're going to a place that the band's on.
That's what I'm saying.
But,
Like, you might feel, but like, if you're talking
Overnight,
Central West
yeah.
End, you're not leaving. Why would you do that?
No, you would never do that. Yeah. Okay, our friends at Reach are hosting a special ceremony this month, and you are invited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here's what's going on. The first Reach University of Parenting class will be recognized on June 25th. So Reach CEO Levi Hart hopes that the grads get a lot of community support because this is a big accomplishment for these men and women.
This will be the first time some of these folks have ever walked a graduation aisle. So it'd be really special for them. These are parents who chose life for their babies, have walked through our parenting classes, and there'll actually be a couple testimonies that night as well.
Okay, so the ceremony is going to happen at Chaminade on the 25th. More information is at outreachforlife.org/events. And Levi's been on when they started the parenting university classes. These are basically people who came in saying, we can't raise a kid, there's no way. And they chose life for their baby and then went and learned skills and things to help them become parents. And so this is their first class that has graduated. So what they're really hoping for is that they get a lot of support, people to kind of cheer them on and encourage them as they start lives as families with the babies they chose to bring into the world.
What a great idea. I love it.
Yep. All right. Tonight is the big night. St. Charles County executive race debate on the Lindenwood University campus. The pre-debate program starts at 6:35, and Steve Ellman, Jason Law, Bill Eigel will debate starting at 7. Doors open right around 5:30. This is a free event that's open to the public, so join us at the Scheidegger Center for the Performing Arts this evening. Details are at newstalkstl.com. This is being brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is. It's going to be a really important discussion.
I hope you all come out and join us.
Yes, we're going to be there. We'll say hi. We got time to mill around and say hi. So, all right, the Rangers win the first game of the series, beating the Cardinals 2-1 at Busch Stadium Monday night. Second game of that series starts at 6:45 tonight. Dustin May scheduled to start on the mound for the Cardinals. Dustin May is off to kind of a rough start this year. It's like 3-5 or something like that because he did so well with the Dodgers a couple years ago before getting hurt. We kind of got him at a bargain, baseball terms. We get that. But Cardinals are in a good position to move forward. You know what's kind of funny? I saw one of those things that said if the playoffs started today, Cardinals would be in the wild card.
Wow.
3 of the 5 teams in the National League Central would be in the playoffs if they started today.
Nice.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At U.S. Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With U.S. Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
U.S. Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With U.S. Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose U.S. Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. U.S. Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump remains optimistic about prospects for a U.S.-Iran deal. He says it could come quickly, perhaps in a week. Ukrainian civilians have endured another massive assault by Russia. A missile and drone barrage left at least 17 people dead, dozens wounded.
Elias Farias, a 47-year-old Kyiv civil engineer, describes the scale of the attack.
It was terrible. It's one of the worst I have experienced.
While another Kyiv resident, Irania Salikova, tells the AP, "We heard several explosions. Several neighbors ran out into the yard with children with bags running for shelters. I don't know how many people, but several were injured in this attack, which happened near our house. Our window was broken and a cobblestone flew into the children's room." I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Florida's new congressional redistricting map will stay. An appeals court has rejected a Democrat lawsuit against the map, upholding a trial court's previous ruling. On social media, Governor Ron DeSantis writes, "Get ready for November." Turmoil rocks CBS television signature news magazine.
Last week, CBS fired 60 Minutes executive producer Tanya Simon and correspondent Sharon Alfonsi and Cecilia Vega. At a meeting to start the week, a longtime anchor spoke up.
"I'm Scott Pelley."
According to a detailed report on the Status website, Pelley said CBS News head Barry Weiss is murdering the show and accused Simon's replacement as executive producer Nick Bilton of having slender qualifications for the job. The report says Weiss was not at the meeting. Bilton insisted Weiss does love CBS News and 60 Minutes. Pelley countered by saying she was brought in to kill it, and she's doing exactly that. I'm Ed Donahue.
Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures down 228 points. NASDAQ futures off 17. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Looking for a great real estate agent? Someone who can help you sell your home fast and for top dollar? Go to ready.com, REDY.com. Because on Ready, agents will pay you just for the opportunity to sell your home. Yeah, on Ready, agents will pay you for your listing. Thousands of dollars up front just for a chance to sell your home. And it's easy. Just go to ready.com, enter your address, and when you want to sell. In just 48 hours, the best local agents are competing on Ready to be your agent with cash offers up front just to win your business. Hey, your listing is valuable. Don't give it away. Make those agents earn it. Get paid to pick your real estate agent. Go to ready.com or call 800-885-REDY. 800-885-READY.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're kicking off a stretch of really nice June weather that will last through the rest of the work week, really. It all starts today with lower humidity, plentiful sunshine, a high around 82 this afternoon, a dry breeze out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear and comfy tonight, a low of 58. Let's keep it going tomorrow. Mostly sunny and 83 Wednesday. Humidity remains low. Our next chance of rain does not arrive until late Friday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book sure it's incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacey today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Did you see that Babylon Bee headline the other day?
Which one?
Oh, my gosh. Nation shocked as candidate with Nazi tattoo turns out to be total scumbag.
I'm shocked.
just the simple things that the bee just nails it over and over.
So good at what they do.
Oh my gosh! All right, we're now joined by Stacey Matthews. You may know her as Sister Toldjah on RedState.com. And Stacey, first of all, great chat with you again. This is part of what you were looking at. Shades of 2024. She just wrote this. Are Democrats trying to Biden Graham Plattner? This Graham Plattner is like the gift that keeps on giving to conservative radio talk show hosts like this, like us, but he could end up in the United States Senate. So there's actually a serious aspect to this thing. And this would be like he would be like a terrible villain in a movie somewhere, except he could possibly end up in the United States Senate.
Right. He is the gift that keeps on giving, not just to conservative talk show hosts, and commentators, but also Republicans who are just, lighting it up over this guy. And the interesting thing about this is, Mike, related to my theory that they could possibly be trying to Biden Graham Plattner, is that most of this opposition research that has come out about Plattner has come out before the general election has even started. And a lot of it started back in the fall, which, a lot of it came from Janet Mills' campaign. Janet Mills was the governor there. She was an active candidate up until about a month or so ago. And, a lot of this research has come from them. And the most recent development, which was the sexting scandal, that emerged because his wife told a now former campaign official with the Plattner campaign about the sexting back in, I think, August, right before the Bernie Sanders endorsement. And so somehow the media got a hold of that, which obviously had to be sourced from somebody within the Plattner campaign or somebody who used to be affiliated with it. So there are these people like Cory Booker and some other senators are now starting to express concern about Plattner. Janet Mills, who was an active candidate, she suspended her campaign last month, but she is still on the ballot, something she reminded people this past weekend. So a lot of things are shaping up in this main race, and it's not looking as clear-cut for Graham Plattner as it maybe was even a month or two ago.
Can I just point out that the dude has a Nazi tattoo, and it's just not clear-cut how the election's going to go. That's 2026 right now.
Oh, right. And not only that, Mike, but you have to consider there are other Democrat candidates out there who are similarly radical. Like you have a leading candidate in one of the congressional races in New Jersey who has had close association with the unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center attacks, the Blind Sheik. He had close association with him. You have the leading Senate candidate in Michigan, Abdul al-Sayed, who is openly pro-Hamas and anti-Israel, unapologetic about it. So this is what's shaping out. This is Democrat extremism that is being rewarded in the primaries in statewide races. It's crazy.
Stacey, I know one of the kind of catches here is, like, I think Republicans and I think Susan Collins probably want Plattner to be the Democrat nominee and want that to be who she's facing in the general. And there's a point at which he could theoretically drop out, and then that puts, that could shake things up in a way that's not favorable to Republicans.
Yes, that's true. But we have to think about this. If Graham Plattner is forced out or shamed into dropping out after he presumably wins the primary, we need to keep in mind too that under certain circumstances, Maine has a ranked choice primary system. So that when voters go to the polls in a week or so in Maine for the primary, they'll be ranking voters. So if nobody hits 50%, then they default to the ranked choice of voting, which could, theoretically be a problem for Plattner if all of this stuff about him has, kind of weighed on people and they're kind of starting to switch gears. But in the event that he wins the primary and he gets shamed into dropping out for whatever reason, that is going to create a lot of division and dissension within the Democrat Party, even more than there already is related to Graham Plattner, and it could split or fracture the vote in the fall election. So even if he drops out, presumably, in the summer, it still could lead to a Susan Collins victory because Democrats are not going to be happy. There's so much blowback against the establishment as there is. They could just sit the election out and say, screw it. You guys took away our candidate. I'm not voting.
Yeah, and I don't know that I would be really, I can't get enthused about, maybe Susan Collins could win. I don't care, with her. But didn't Bernie Sanders double down on his endorsement? It's like, no, I'm sticking with him because that's what happens when you get into that Marxist sort of mindset territory, is that the ideology overrides. I mean, because Bernie Sanders, that was a big deal to the fringe left.
Right. Well, Bernie Sanders was the first big-name senator to endorse him. Since then, Elizabeth Warren has also endorsed Plattner. But yeah, Sanders recently, after the sexting scandal broke, he said, I think there's more pressing issues for Maine voters to be concerned with than the marital problems of Graham Plattner, which might make sense. But Graham Plattner, like 2 months ago, in an interview with a leftist podcaster, they asked him, do you have anything else hiding that we need to know about? And he said, absolutely not. And here we go again.
And there's
so
more.
It's like they keep having to defend the indefensible. And at a certain point, it's actually going to hurt him, whether it's in the primary or in the general election. It's going to hurt him eventually.
Yeah, and I don't think we've heard the last of it, too. I think there's more, too.
I agree.
Shifting gears a little bit. You've also got a recent article up about DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, who I will say is doing an admirable job in the role right so far, as I can tell. He's provided a telling detail about the arrested New Jersey agitators that explains a lot about what's going up there around Delaney Hall.
Well, Susie, over the weekend, probably for the last 2 weeks, there have been agitators at Delaney Hall in New Jersey. They're protesting the alleged conditions inside the detainee facility that's there. And as usual, the agitators are trying to whip up the mob, and they are trying to instigate physical altercations with the ICE agents there because it makes for good TV and for good recruitment. But fortunately, Mickey Sherrill, the governor there, finally woke up a little bit later towards the end of the week last week, and she allowed state police to start getting involved in kind of corralling the crowd. But the crowd is not cooperating, and there have been many arrests. Among them have been a person from across the border in Brooklyn who allegedly threatened an ICE agent and their family with death. But Markwayne Mullin yesterday, when he gave a press conference about some of the people that have been arrested, he said some of them are from Portland, which is not a surprise at all. Portland is a haven for Antifa types and Black Bloc types who are well-funded, and they cause havoc routinely in Portland because the Democrats there let them run wild. And somebody somewhere is funding these people. So in questions that I've raised, and some of our other writers at RedState have raised, is are we going to see arrests for the people who are funding these people in addition to the people themselves? Because, it's being, overseen by someone, and those people also need to be held accountable.
Yeah, they do. And Stacey, I just want to emphasize here, you're not talking about Portland, Maine. You're talking about Portland, Oregon. So these are people that have come
Correct.
across the country to be part of this unrest.
Portland, Oregon, yes. Even though there are extremists in Portland in Maine, as we've recently seen.
Yeah. We're visiting with Stacey Matthews. You know her sister Toldjah on RedState.com. Just got a minute or so left here. And when it comes to these activists, are we possibly seeing the fringe left, the far left, the violent elements of it, testing the waters again for another round of the political violence? Because when that happened in Minnesota and Chicago, the idea was, if we create enough chaos, that's bad for some of the incumbents. That's going to be, in theory at least, then that looks bad for the Trump administration. So is it possible we're seeing kind of the undertows of let's give this another try and get this all over the news again?
I think we're already in the middle of that, Mike, honestly. And because so many Democrats that are already in office, like Chuck Schumer, he will not condemn the violence. There's so many Democrat leaders who see this going on. They see the stuff playing out. This started all the way back with what was going on with Tesla, early on in the second Trump administration. You had these facilities being attacked, and incendiary devices being used, and no one on the left would condemn them. So the left knows that they can keep doing this, and the party leaders will not condemn them because they are so afraid of losing the fringe vote. So this is already in progress, and unfortunately, it's only going to get worse.
All right, Stacey Matthews, RedState.com. We've already tagged you on our social media as well. Appreciate the update. And of course, we'll see what's kicking later on today from you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, sis. Hey, we've mentioned this, but tonight, of course, is the debate at St. Charles, for the St. Charles County Executive Debate out at Lindenwood. Tim and Chris are going to be live today from there. And then tomorrow, they're going to be live at the brand new refurbished St. Louis County GOP headquarters. That is tomorrow afternoon from 4 to 6 at the Gravois Bluffs location. Republican Central Committee of St. Louis County open house. Go check them out tomorrow if you can't be there today, or come to both. We would like to see you at both.
Enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
We've talked a lot about what a great challenge it would be to learn something like scuba diving. Even here in the Midwest, you can do that with my friends at Great American Divers. Mike Ferguson here for Great American Divers. The website, very easy to remember, greatamericandivers.com. So if you're a beginner or you want to just try it, they've got the pools, they've got the expertise, they are certified. They will show you how to do this. It'll be a lot of fun. What a great retreat or birthday party or bachelor party or something like that. But how about this? For those of you who are experienced under the water, this is where you want to go. You get your equipment repaired and serviced. You can even rent equipment here if you got something that you need to fill in there. But that repair and that service, you do not want to just turn that over to anybody when it literally is life and death when you are diving. And so Great American Divers in St. Charles, that's who you want to contact, and that's where you want to take your equipment. If maybe you just need the oxygen refilled, you need the air refilled, great. But if you have a repair that needs to be made, you got to get a new part on there. This is where you want to go. Make sure that your life is in the hands of the experts here. Great American Divers in St. Charles. By the way, this is a veteran-owned business, and there's a 10% discount for active duty, veterans, and first responders. GreatAmericanDivers.com.
Colombo and Company.
A whole lot going on as we start the month of June. We'll get you caught up on all the latest headlines Tuesday. Plus, it's debate night. Join us for the St. Charles County Executive Debate at Lindenwood. Details at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Democracy is loud, and tonight, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate tonight. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis & Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Dr. Michael Lewis, West Point grad, physician, and retired Army colonel, is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s in brain health. He's also the author of When Brains Collide. Dr. Lewis, a lot of people take fish oil supplements, but how do you know they're working if you're not testing?
Elizabeth, I've come across the biggest breakthrough in my 30-plus years of medicine. What if you could test yourself at home to see if your fish oil supplements are actually working? And then have the right product, a combination of fish oil and olive oil, a perfect Mediterranean diet in a bottle delivered right to your doorstep. This is the answer to the American ultra-processed food diet. Email me at test@brainhealtheducation.org. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
Email Dr. Lewis today at test@brainhealtheducation.org and take the first step toward a healthier brain. Your future self will thank you. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app
Love the all-new Newstalk STL app.
and listen anytime, anywhere.
I'm a puppet on a string, Tracy Island, time traveling diamond, could have shaped heartaches. Come to find you for in some velvet morning, years too late. She's a silver lining, Lone Ranger riding through an open space. In my mind when she's not right there beside me, I go crazy, 'cause here isn't where I wanna be.
Hey, Chris Arp from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Maybe a 3 on the Susie dance scale there.
Oh, I was
You're kinda
distracted.
grooving a little
I
bit.
kind of like that groove, but
Yeah.
I was also distracted because I'm trying to do like 3 things at once. So
Okay. The networking that you can do on social media, obviously mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, it's changed everything. I was talking a little bit earlier, right before you got in, Susie. Jerome and I were chatting. And those of us who are Gen X here, we're in such a unique period because we grew up with the old timers who did things like, solving the world's problem over coffee and steak and eggs every morning at the diner, to that in-person thing. And also we grew up with the invention of the new technology. So we're kind of seeing both sides of the digital revolution.
it's true. Now, of course, we were alive in the 80s.
That's true. That's right. Yeah.
So we're in that select group. But
go
but
check
no.
that out on social media, by the way.
Yeah, we're that kind of bridge between the analog age and the digital age.
Right, but there's also the personal side of that, and that's what I want to get to here
Okay.
in just a second here. By the way, Susie just mentioned the St. Charles County Executive debate is tonight. We're going to do an in-depth preview of what to expect tonight and maybe kind of assess the way the candidates are approaching on this. Our other panelists, because Susie and I are going to be the panelists answering the questions.
Asking the questions. I am not answering any
Or
questions.
Asking the questions, along with Dan Fox from West Magazine and Mid Rivers Magazine. He's going to
Mhm.
be up there with us. We're going to talk to Dan here in just a little bit. Okay, so let me give you kind of an couple observations. And this isn't like totally like political and conservative and libertarian or leftist or anything. This is for everybody out there. I remember when I first kind of was asked to get involved into some political stuff and community stuff, and I've lived in a couple areas. There was a pattern that you would see in sort of even as late as like the 90s and the early 2000s, and that was a group of people in the morning would meet up for coffee somewhere or in a diner somewhere, and they were basically solving their community's problems over coffee and solving the world's problems over coffee. I remember I would, before I moved here full-time, I would come in and do my old TV show, the Missouri Viewpoint show. And there's a Steak and Shake right there on First Capitol.
Yeah.
And I would go in there early in the morning because I was going to, my TV studio was at the Scheidegger Center where we're going to be tonight.
Right.
A matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if my old set is still there.
Maybe.
If it's open, I'll show you. But there was this group of old guys. They would pull the tables together. Every time I was there they were drinking coffee, having their eggs, clearly solving all the world's problems. I've seen that in other cities. I'd go somewhere.
and shaking.
There's always a diner somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And there's people, and they would go, and there for a while, I'd go to those. Once a week, I finally got invited to the Cool Kids Club, and you'd have the union guys there, and then you'd have the Republican guys there, and you have the Chamber of Commerce guys there, and you're all just kind of sitting there talking, and every once in a while arguing. But there were actually things that came out of that ended up fixing something in the local community, because somebody would go, I got an idea. And then other times they would argue. But there was like one time I remember there was a guy from the Lions Club. They deal with like child and blindness and stuff. And they talked about a real tragedy that they had with one of the kids that they had helped. They had helped kids. They'd gotten a transplant. And then there was a tragic action. The kid lost his life. There's just tragic. And then what do we do now? We've got this. And then someone goes, oh, wait a minute, I know somebody. And those type of things happen. Now, with social media, obviously you can organize a network and a campaign on a large scale very fast.
Yeah.
You can do that locally. I think there was a lot of that done in Festus recently as well.
Sure.
But are we trading off that personal touch when we just say, we don't need to go spend $1.50 for a cup of coffee and a few bucks for eggs. I can just get on Twitter on my phone. And I think that we're losing some solution-oriented stuff and community mindset when we completely focus on the new thing and not ask, is there value in the old thing?
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, you can do a lot with social media. And in fact, one of the blessings, if you will, for instance, of X is the fact that they expanded the ability to communicate on it, and you're not limited to 140 characters the way it used to be.
Right.
It's no longer a microblog. It's actually a place that people can have articles and can have back and forth discussions. They can have spaces, that sort of thing. So it'll lend itself to that. But it's extremely limited, and as is Facebook, as is in any kind of social media, because there's only so much that you can express digitally through text, with emojis even, that adequately captures, your true meaning, your true intent. And when you're face to face with somebody, breaking bread with them more or less, there's a human component there. There's an intangible quality to that I think fosters a community, B, cooperativeness, and C, innovation that you don't get through the screen.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking more in the sense of, is it not the case that we just found a better way of doing it? That's why we don't do it like the old ways were. Because if you look all the way back to the planning of the Revolutionary War, they were in pubs, they were in bars, they were doing that sort of stuff. Now you can create private online groups to organize people, and it seems like people go out places to actually get away from and just to have that moment of peace and, hopefully peace and serenity. They're not looking to have somebody get them all riled up to go to a rally or to get motivated to go pick up trash on the highway or something like that. They just want their food, they want their peace, but then you can go online and say, hey, here's an online group that I can join to be part of that.
See, it doesn't surprise me that that's the questioning from some, and I'm not making a joke, from your age group.
Well, we didn't. I grew up, I'm just old enough to remember what a landline was like and what a CD player was, and I'm not making any.
No, I know.
I didn't bust a gut this time.
It stung a little, but yes.
But we had already, even as young as kindergarten, I believe, we had been learning how to use computers to do things. So there's really not an era that I could remember where I did not see somebody with a cell phone. I did not see somebody that didn't have a MySpace account or at least had an email to communicate with people. There was no, when you're little kids, run around and go do your thing, but there was no go out in the world and go make friends. It was all, do you already know this person? Can I talk to their parents? Stay away from strangers.
Yeah, but on the online thing, it's great networking, but you don't really know them.
Right. Well, and I want to make a qualitative point here, because you said, isn't it just that we found a better way? No, we found a different way. We found an easier way. In a lot of ways, it's easier and more efficient, maybe, as far as organizing goes. But I don't know that I would say it's qualitatively a better way. There is, but first of all, back in the old analog days before you had social media, people got together and socialized and did things and, had their peaceful exchanges without it wasn't all just organizing for political reasons.
No,
You did both. You had backyard barbecues and the neighborhood, cookouts, that sort of thing.
Oh, you were also planning the 4th of July thing at the city park.
Correct. It wasn't political. So you did both. You just did them all face to face and through actual human interaction, as opposed to theoretically talking with, a bot or an artificial intelligence. I'm pointing my computer while I do that. So I'm not saying, there are benefits, there are pluses to having the capacity to do what you're talking about through social media, but something's getting lost in translation.
Well, yes, but with progress, things get lost all the time. There are certain skills that nobody in this room has that 100 years ago we would have had to have absolutely learned if we wanted to get anywhere in life.
But
I don't know how to make butter.
There were also skills 100 years ago that are still as applicable today, and those are those soft interpersonal skills that they may have been better at 100 years ago than we have today too. So there are things that we don't need anymore. My question is, are there things that we will always need?
Well, I guess yes and no, because maybe the skills that have survived or persisted this long, or the mindsets and the work ethics that have persisted, are still necessary because we have not found a way to make them obsolete or find a more efficient way. So for me, in sports, you go around and you try to sell candy bars, or with my grandparents' neighborhood, all the neighbors sort of knew each other. So when it was time to get a block party going, They had the grandkids knocking on doors, handing out like, "Hey, are you going to come to the barbecue? You're going to come out to the block party." Nowadays, it's like people will get offended if you bother them by knocking on the door because they could just go online to the neighborhood group chat and say, "Yes, I'll be there," or "No, leave me alone."
Mm-hmm. You can also Instacart the candy bar.
Yes, and you can DoorDash, the barbecue if you want. But
yeah, and I'm saying there's an important thing that's being lost in that, even while it's more efficient and.
Well, if it's being lost though, if it's that important though, then why is society fine with losing it?
Because we're lazy.
Yeah,
We default to what's easy.
Here's the thing. I mean, if I didn't work this shift, I would say, who wants to meet up in Mario's? Let's we can talk about anything. We can talk about the Cardinals. We can talk about the Battle Hawks. We can talk about Amendment 5. We can talk about Amendment 3. We can talk about, the elections. We talk about whatever. But it's a whole lot easier to hate somebody and lie about somebody when they're not sitting right in front of you.
It sure is.
Very interesting food for thought.
Yep.
But also be interesting.
There's the morning coffee clutch from the morning show.
There we go.
Now, what else will be interesting is to see how this debate goes down. We've got Steve, Jason, and Bill walk into a great big theater, and that's not the setup for a joke. That's what's going to happen tonight in St. Charles at 7:35. We've got a preview of the big debate. You should be there. Find out why.
Well, are you mine? Are you mine? Are you mine? Oh,
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Let me just say this with all due respect. You really don't know what you're talking about right now.
On News Talk STL.
need the deep and keep imagining meeting wished away. Entire lifetimes unfair. We're not somewhere misbehaving for days.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're kicking off a stretch of really nice June weather that will last through the rest of the work week, really. It all starts today with lower humidity, plentiful sunshine, a high around 82 this afternoon. A dry breeze out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear and comfy tonight, a low of 58. Let's keep it going tomorrow. Mostly sunny and 83 Wednesday. Humidity remains low. Our next chance of rain does not arrive until late Friday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Something big is happening in St. Louis County, and you're invited.
Join us for the grand reopening of the St. Louis County Central Committee's brand new headquarters, and it's an open house you don't want to miss.
Stop by Wednesday, June 3rd at 794 Gravois Bluffs for light appetizers, beverage, and a chance to meet your Central Committee members. Plus, Chris and I will be there live.
Join Tim and me and tour the new headquarters. That's Wednesday, June 3rd, 794 Gravois Bluffs.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Growing up, there were two events that would get kids excited. One, the sound of the ice cream truck. Kids would race back into the home, find mom, and ask for money, race back out before the truck left the neighborhood. I see some of you nodding. You did the same thing. The other event was the mosquito truck is coming. We would jump on our bikes, ride behind the truck, inhaling all that mist. So much fun. Nobody at that time said that might not be healthy. The trucks were spraying a fog of DDT, sometimes mixed with kerosene, all to kill mosquitoes. Now, because of environmental and human health concerns, DDT was banned in 1972. Now, if you see trucks spraying for mosquitoes, they're using chemicals approved by the EPA, not harmful to you nor the environment, supposedly. Google has a plan to reduce mosquitoes, to release 32 million across California and Florida. These would be sterile male mosquitoes, which could mate with a female but not produce more mosquitoes. Male mosquitoes don't bite nor spread disease. But how do you, where do you look to see if that mosquito is male or female? Or you just wait and let it bite you?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Dozens of out-of-state law firms are crashing into St. Louis trying to get your business. My advice, rely on a hometown firm. Under Law has been here for years. There are lawyers raising their families right alongside yours. And when you're injured by someone's careless actions, you are entitled to full compensation. You want lawyers who will not bend to big insurance, but will stand defiantly protecting you. Under Law, O-N-D-E-R, underlaw.com. Under wins.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News, analysis, opinion.
She is making New York less safe. President Trump has done more to protect the citizens of New York than she has.
It's not in China's interest or anyone's interest for there to be any sort of forced change in the status quo.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
All right, tonight, the big night in St. Charles County. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University bringing you the chance to hear from the contenders for county executive at this evening's debate.
I'm looking forward to it.
Very happy to be a part of this. The St. Charles County Republican Central Committee is part of this, and our friends at West Magazine and Mid Rivers Magazine as well. And Dan Fox is the editor of both of those, actually. And Dan's going to be on the panel with Susie and I, and he joins us right now. This is going to be interesting. Dan, I want to get into like some of the top topics that we're likely going to be dealing with and what the candidates are going to want to be focusing on this. But let's also talk about the fact that you've got three candidates with unique resumes. They all bring such a wide variety of experience. So not only are the voters going to be dissecting what they say about particular issues, they're going to be dissecting what kinds of candidates and what kind of leadership each of these candidates is offering.
Yeah, there's going to be unique skill sets that each of these candidates are going to bring. Of course, you have Steve Ellman, who has been in the county executive position for quite a number of years, so he has the consistency of that position behind him. You have Bill Eigel's experience at the state legislature, which, even though it's a county position, it's very important to have that collaboration and experience working with the state government. And then with Jason Law, he is promoting his law enforcement background and the experience and expertise that brings in terms of running local governance.
Dan, I think one of the things that is, to me, fascinating about tonight's debate is that we're not talking about people whose political philosophies and whose resumes are so distinct that it's going to be very easy to differentiate between them like you would in, for instance, a general race. This is a primary. So we've got three Republican candidates. All of them are on the right side of the spectrum. They might have different brands of Republicanism and different focuses in terms of their agenda items. But how do you think they can, do what can they do to best differentiate themselves for voters?
They're going to be looking to speak to the interests, both in the hot topics, that are going on right now, but as well as the life interests of the voters. Taxes are going to be a big point of contention, and the candidates are going to be looking to talk about how they're going to be able to ease the life of the average constituent.
We're visiting with Dan Fox from West Magazine or Mid Rivers Magazine. He's going to be at the debate tonight along with Susie and me, and also Jamie Ullman and Steve Ellman and Jason Law and Bill Eigel. The details of this are at newstalkstl.com. This is a free event, no reservation needed. We hope that you join us. Okay, let's talk about some of the things that you and Susie and I are going to be asking them, and I'm sure they're going to be asking each other. You mentioned taxes. There's another, maybe the biggest thing affecting St. Charles in particular would be development and growth. It's not a matter of whether people want to go to St. Charles County. They do. St. Charles County is essentially saying, okay, how are we going to grow, or how much are we going to allow ourselves to grow? And that has to do with housing. That has to do with businesses. It has to do with zoning. I mean, we're talking about a big picture of what St. Charles County is going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the road.
Yeah, and growth in St. Charles County is a huge topic that the newspapers have been looking at over the last couple of years. And we've seen in recent elections with mayors and city council members in various cities in St. Charles County, there are elected officials that are being put into office that have a more reserved or conservative on development mindset. Smart growth is the word that keeps getting put out there. So the people are watching how St. Charles County is being developed, and whether the priority becomes less commercial and more residential, more single family. It's something that people are having a higher level of awareness on than I would say I've seen in the past decade.
One of the things I'm hoping to drill down on, and I haven't quite formulated exactly how I want to ask this, but I'm hoping to get a chance to this evening, is the distinction between county governance and then municipal governance. Because as you just alluded to, St. Charles County is made up of a whole host of municipalities. You've got O'Fallon, you've got St. Peter's, you've got the city of St. Charles. So you've got all kinds of, and Cottleville, I mean, I could go on, but so you've got the individual communities within the county, and yet the whoever's going to be county executive is going to be needing to coordinate with those communities so that the policies that they're advocating and implementing, if they're leading the county, jibe with those communities and are within their lane.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, right? Like you have to be a bit of a peacemaker, a bit of a bridge builder to be the county executive. It's a balancing act, as well as overseeing the parts of the governance in the area that the county is solely responsible for. There's development that happens in the county that the county council has review over, and then there's sort of that cross-contamination where there's a development in O'Fallon that's right next to unincorporated county lines, and they have to work out how that's going to impact residents on both sides of the line. So there's some bridge building that needs to happen from the county executive seat.
Yeah, we've got the three contenders, the three real contenders for this race going to be debating tonight. I think this is going to be fascinating. I would not be surprised if there's some sharp jabs delivered between at least a couple of them as well. But Dan, let's talk to the people who are thinking this is an important race, but it's earlier in the year. Do I really want to go? I've got till August to learn about the candidates. There are just things about events like tonight that the Hammond Institute's bringing, that you're working with them on, that we're working with them on. There's just something about these events that tell voters things that you can't see on social media alone.
Yeah, well, and the beautiful thing about a primary debate is it's like you said, these are three candidates that are on the Republican ticket. They're going to be talking to their constituents. They're going to be looking directly to the interests of the people that they want to vote for them. So this is really like a good opportunity to see the unvarnished view of these candidates and get a good feel for what they're going to do for the voters.
I feel like one of the issues that has people most energized, no pun intended, these days is the whole data center discussion. And I know we're probably going to be asking at least a couple questions to these candidates about that.
I've got a couple in mind.
How do you see that playing out tonight, Dan?
Oh man, it's such a hot topic. I've started seeing data centers, no data center bumper stickers. As soon as something starts hitting a bumper sticker, it's a big topic. Emotions are so tense right now on data centers. There's a lot of negative sentiment opposed to them. I'm curious to see if somebody will talk about the positives that they could have, as well as the safeguards that need to be put in place to make sure that the residents in the community are not negatively impacted, long term by these, enormous taxing developments.
Yep, Dan Fox.
I want to see if someone can articulate the full story rather than just repeating the slogans that you see on the bumper stickers.
Yeah, and we've talked about that here on the show, Dan. Is that I think people can come to either side of that discussion in good faith. I really think you can do that. But I also think a lot of people are really passionate about something that they haven't really dug into and don't really understand. But I think there's a lot of emotion and a lot of fear and a lot of anger. And maybe if they dug in on their own, they may come to the same conclusion. But there's an awful lot of campaign push on both sides of it. And this is one of those unique issues where I think there's a lot of people feeling instead of truly contemplating.
Well, and I absolutely get the concern and the fear, because there are very real fears. We don't want to have these massive hyperscale facilities built and then abandoned because, they may not be profitable long term and just sitting, in what was lush green space next to, rivers. But if we're talking about, huge tax benefits for the cities that can be turned back towards the residents, we should consider that, openly and, like you say, in good faith, and make smart decisions based off of that.
Okay, so you've been covering these, and of course all of the municipality level local stuff as well, which is what local media does that you just can't get other places. Especially those in your area, especially those in St. Charles County. Tell them where they can connect with West and with Mid Rivers, because there may be people not realizing there's a resource out there they should be tapping into.
So readers can always pick up the newspapers in both West St. Louis County and St. Charles County at local Schnucks and Deerbergs. We direct mail, and people can subscribe for free at midriversnewsmagazine.com/subscribe and westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe. At free papers, we're just here as a resource for the homeowners, the residents, to keep people informed on what's going on in their communities.
Thanks, Dan. We'll see you here this evening.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Dan. All right, is the extreme left testing the waters again with their violence in New Jersey? We'll follow up on that in the news dump at 7:50.
It was a clean shot to the kidneys, and I turned back, and there was
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Columbo here from my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Window World. Did you know that Window World offers a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor? They are one of the only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Window World St. Louis has been owned and operated by a group of born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years, and now Window World is offering 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today, 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, the fight in court still going on. We're going to the next round.
Maybe I got out of the law business at the wrong time.
As of right now, though, Amendment 5, the repeal of the income tax, that question is still on the ballot or set to be on the ballot.
Yes.
Give you the update on that in a second here. Should some key city police officers, we're talking leaders in the department, get pretty big raises, as in double-digit raises? Yeah, we'll talk about that. And once again, we hope you're planning to join us tonight at Lindenwood University's campus for the debate, the big debate. Details on that coming your way. 7:50 right now. Let's do another news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by STL Fenceworks.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
And away we go here. Amendment 5 stays on the ballot. That is the ruling from a Cole County judge on Monday. The challenge to the proposal claims that it involves more than one subject, which would be against Missouri law and the Constitution.
Can't do that.
An appeal to that ruling has already been filed. The deadline to make any changes on the August election ballot is June 9th. So basically expect lots of activity over the next several days because there's a week left to go. We are going to talk to Attorney General Catherine Hanaway about this and some other stuff early next week.
Look forward to that.
Yep. The Venezuelan national accused of killing Loyola University student Sheridan Gorman appeared in court on Monday after, I have to say allegedly, being caught with an improvised weapon while in prison. Speaking after the court appearance, the student's father, his name is Tom Gorman, criticizing the immigration policies, which obviously had, and when I say immigration policy, we're talking about basically let anybody in, that clearly had a hand or was part of what happened to his daughter.
He was a danger outside, and he is apparently a danger inside, and he should never be free in the same city as our daughter.
And once again, that is Tom Gorman, father of Sheridan Gorman. The Loyola University student was shot and killed in Chicago earlier this year. DHS tells us that the suspect had been released from custody months before the shooting. The suspect has pleaded not guilty in that killing, in that case. Yeah. All right. The Board of Police Commissioners in St. Louis wants to use about $2 million to increase the salaries for lieutenants, captains, majors, and lieutenant colonels. As KMOV's Russell Kinsall tells us, Mayor Kara Spencer not on board with this particular plan.
The board says these raises would help keep current officers and make their salaries more competitive with the rest of the region. Mayor Kara Spencer sounded off about the proposal and how it could impact the city's finances. Mayor Spencer says, in part, this proposal would no doubt have major impacts, not only on the SLMPD budget, but also on the city's overall budget, as it would necessarily trigger similar raises in the fire department. It is incredibly irresponsible to handle significant raises outside of a thorough and thoughtful process, which this hardly appears to be.
If approved, those raises would take effect on July 1st. And this, I think what you're seeing is now the reality setting in for city officials that this is what happens when you lose control of a department that you did not run well.
True. And I guess when I hear a thorough and thoughtful process, while I appreciate the concept, what I also hear is long, drawn out, forever and ever process. And I don't know that we have that amount of time to work with if we want to retain the good officers that we have and bring in more.
There was a thorough and thoughtful process over several years to basically become antagonist for law enforcement in the city and to defund them and to throw them under the bus at every opportunity by electing people like Kimberly Gardner and Tashara Jones to office. So this is the bill coming due, and this is what it cost to defund the police and make sure that your city was not as safe as it could be. And the bill is really expensive. All right. City police say another round of smash and grabs happened over the weekend. Yeah, this time it was in the Central West End. Around 30 cars were broken into early Sunday morning. Police believe around 2:30 because there was some video surveillance of this. According to KMOV, security video showing that at least some of the thieves appeared to be armed. This is the third time in just the past few weeks, basically over the past month, that multiple cars were broken into in what appears to be coordinated thefts. And these are basically a group of people smashing into a bunch of them, not really paying attention to which cars they're doing, figuring that if they smash into enough cars, eventually they're going to find something of value. Police believe they were particularly looking for weapons.
Well, and I also think they're probably getting a kick out of destroying stuff in the process.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, our friends at Reach are hosting a special ceremony this month, and they are inviting you to attend, even though you probably won't know anybody there. The first Reach University of Parenting class will be recognized on June 25th. Reach CEO Levi Hart hopes that the grads get a lot of community support because this is a big accomplishment for these women and for these men.
This will be the first time some of these folks have ever walked a graduation aisle, so it'd be really special for them. These are parents who chose life for their babies, have walked through our parenting classes, and there'll actually be a couple testimonies that night as well.
Okay, so that ceremony is going to happen at Chaminade on the 25th, so get your information, your details, your directions, all that kind of stuff, outreachforlife.org, and then just /events or just outreachforlife.org, and you'll find it on there. So like Levi said, these are people, these are men and women who came to them with a crisis pregnancy, chose life, and then went through the work of getting equipped with skills to start lives as families, rearing these children.
Which is just amazing.
Yeah, so outreachforlife.org for that. All right, tonight's the big night, St. Charles County Executive Race Debate on the Lindenwood University campus. The pre-debate program starts 6:35. Steve Ellman, Jason Law, Bill Eigel will be debating starting at 7 o'clock. Doors are going to open at 5:30. You know who's going to be there by 5:30?
You and me?
Yep. This is a free event that is open to the public, so join us at the Scheidegger Center for the Performing Arts this evening. Details are at newstalkstl.com. Thank you very much to the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood for making this happen. Okay, this is interesting here because I'm kind of a history nerd on stuff. Before America became the America we know today, churches were a big part of the communities that grew into being a big part of the new nation, as we know. Some of those churches that were there pre-United States of America are still operating to this day. The exact same churches. Michael Harrington has the story.
On July 4th, this nation will be 250 years old. But Old North Church in Boston, you remember, one if by land, two if by sea, it's 303 years old. It's one of just a tiny number of churches that were there at America's founding and are still operating today. Trinity Church in Newport, Rhode Island is even older, founded in 1698. And then there's First Baptist Church in America in Providence, Rhode Island. It's still going after 388 years. Michael Harrington reporting.
That's impressive.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it really is.
And you know what's kind of funny is I don't know how much time you spent in New England or Jerome. You've been up like in Boston and New York and places like that. Boston's a cool place to visit.
I've actually never been to the Northeast.
Okay, it's cool. It's a whole different thing.
Ooh.
Whole different thing up there because when we around here, we look at something and we're like, oh man, that thing's 75 years old. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
They're probably like, ours is 175 years
old. No, 300.
You're talking about things that were established in the 1600s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I flew into Boston to do some business, and I was going to my hotel, and I got on to Highway 1. U.S. Highway 1.
Very cool.
It's number one.
It is real. It's a fun area. I wouldn't want to live there with their taxes and left-wing politicians, but it's a cool place to visit.
It is.
Rangers win the first game of the series, beating Cardinals 2-1 at Busch Stadium Monday night. Second game of that series starts at 6:45 tonight. Dustin May scheduled to start on the mound. Cardinals still in pretty good shape right now. So, but if they keep winning the series from here on out, they've got a real shot at the wild card.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cinderfer.
Hi, Cinderfer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim, yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is, but I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Primary voters are going to the polls in a half dozen states today. Among the most closely watched races, California governor's contest and the Los Angeles mayor's race. Along with California, there are also primaries today in Montana and Iowa, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. Russian forces have launched a massive aerial attack on Kiev and other Ukrainian cities, killing at least 18 civilians and wounding more than 100. The BBC's Vitaly Shevchenko is in the Ukrainian capital.
We heard at least 12 loud bangs and then a Russian drone flying overhead, followed by Ukrainian air defenses trying to shoot it down. This wide-ranging Russian attack, this is something that Ukrainians had been expecting since Russia threatened to carry out a campaign of devastating strikes against Kiev. So residents of the Ukrainian capital have been sheltering and using the metro as a shelter for the past 2 or 3 nights.
6 people are dead. A shooting in Muscatine, Iowa. Police Chief Anthony Keyes says the victims were shot by a man who later took his own life.
The preliminary investigation indicates the shooting stemmed from a domestic dispute. At this time, all victims are believed to be family members of the deceased,
who has been identified as 52-year-old Ryan McFarland of Muscatine. A divided federal appeals court says Pentagon policy banning transgender troops or military service is illegal. The ban remains in effect, though. The U.S. Supreme Court allowed the Pentagon to start enforcing it last year as litigation continues to play out in the courts. Watching Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell, Dow futures down 239 points. The NASDAQ futures are off 18 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085 or Big Lou.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're kicking off a stretch of really nice June weather that will last through the rest of the work week, really. It all starts today with lower humidity, plentiful sunshine, a high around 82 this afternoon, a dry breeze out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear and comfy tonight, a low of 58. Let's keep it going tomorrow. Mostly sunny and 83 Wednesday. Humidity remains low. Our next chance of rain does not arrive until late Friday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Your workout tomorrow starts tonight. Your focus at work starts tonight. Your patience with your family starts tonight. Sleep isn't the end of your day, it's the beginning of your life. At Snooze Mattress and Wellness, we're locally owned and family owned, and we use advanced technology to help you find a mattress designed for deep, restorative sleep. Because this isn't about furniture, it's about waking up renewed. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up! Get up! In case you hear the alarm. Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, the monster that is government in Illinois decides to spend more money, and that means it has to consume more money.
It's just absolutely insatiable, isn't it?
Record-breaking year.
Wow.
Normally, when you say record-breaking year, you're like, oh, great, what do we win? Record-breaking year is not a good thing this time around.
Yikes.
Good Lord. All right. We're now visiting with Ted Dabrowski. He was the founder of Wirepoints news service. Obviously, you may remember his run for governor this past year as well. And so Ted, we're talking about record-breaking year, but we're talking about record-breaking spending, record-breaking budget, which means the money has to come from somewhere. If you had to rate the fiscal responsibility from a perfect 10, they're fiscally responsible, to a minus 100, what the heck are you thinking? Where do you assess the assembly right now?
All right. Well, hey, first, thanks for having me on. Look, yeah, I've been covering these budgets for quite a while now at the Illinois Policy Institute before, Wirepoints, and of course now. And it's just the same story every time. So let me see if it's kind of like Groundhog Day, but record budget. Well, yeah, it was a record budget last year and the record budget the year before. We've been growing our spending year after year after year. And of course, as you're saying, the taxes keep going up. And so this is no different than all these other previous budgets. Record spending, record taxes. This time they avoided direct taxes on people, but they raised taxes by around $1 billion. And even if it's on corporations and stuff like that, it always ends up being the ordinary guy who pays those taxes anyway. So this is another bad budget. But let me say this: I stopped measuring these budgets based on all the individual numbers. I just tend to look at what's happening to our economy in Illinois, and we have the fifth worst growth since Pritzker took over. We have the fifth worst growth rate in the country, economic growth. We have the fifth worst job creation in the country, the sixth worst wage growth in the country. And we're 2 or 3 on outmigration of people, and that's kind of how you really need to measure. How's it going for the people? And that's a few of the stats that people are just getting destroyed in Illinois.
And the follow up to that is, well, why are they leaving? Obviously, an opportunity would be one of those if there's a better opportunity somewhere else. But at what point do even Democrats have to recognize all of these harsh taxes matter? You talk about. We're talking about over $800 million in tax increases. Now, you pointed out, okay, so maybe that's not like an income tax increase. What's being taxed and what's going to become more expensive in Illinois to fund all of this?
Well, all right, so let's bet, why are people leaving, right? Of course, it's the highest property taxes in the country, the second or third highest gas taxes in the country, the highest cell phone taxes in the country. Chicago has the highest sales tax in the country. I mean, it just goes on. And they keep getting away with it because they keep giving out money. They take this money, they give it out to constituent groups that vote for them. So the game continues even as we lose people and all that. But this time around, they're gonna tax digital ads. They're gonna do a social media tax on the big social media companies. They're limiting how much companies to deduct from their operating losses of the past. They're doing just a bunch of taxes like they always do. They typically do sin taxes is what they've been doing in the last few years. gambling and cigarette and of course cannabis and stuff like that. So they've been diversifying where they tax because they're trying to, they already know they have troubles with income tax and property taxes. So they're trying all different kinds of taxes, which eventually hit people anyway.
Yeah, so obviously the taxpayers and the businesses are the losers, but who's the winner? Who are the winners in all of this? Because we're talking about record government spending. The money's going to go somewhere. Who wins in all this?
Oh, the winner's always Pritzker and the Democrats, because what they do is they turn around then and over the next year they'll hand out all kinds of grants to all kinds of aggrieved groups who are suffering something, and they hand out 10 million here, 20 million there, 30 million here, and it's effectively vote buying, and that's what happens. So they just hand out all this money. They increase money for the public unions. They're the big winners because they get more money. More money goes to the failed school districts. And this is a cycle that's been perpetuated for a long time. What's interesting about this time, though, is that they couldn't get their ducks in a row. Things like the Bears Stadium became very difficult because everybody knows what's happening with affordability in Illinois and the taxes and the gas taxes and all that. And so now these guys, Pritzker and others, couldn't be seen as giving away money to the billionaire Bears. And they showed their incompetence just now because they couldn't get a deal done.
Yeah, and so are we looking at the possibility? I mean, obviously in St. Louis we lost the Rams all those years ago, and now Missouri is losing the Kansas City Chiefs. Is it actually realistic to think that the Bears could relocate, or is it just out of Chicago, or could they go somewhere else?
I'm not privy to anything, of course, so all I have is gut feel from just doing all this work. Look, they could move to Indiana. You saw the Giants and the Jets. They play in New Jersey, just right over just right outside New York City, and that seems to work well. So something like that could happen, and so it wouldn't be a surprise. And I think it's all a question of how much control the Bears have over what they operate. And I know when the Giants left New York, they wanted to have a place they controlled and owned, and so that's what they did. Privately owned over there. And you're seeing privately funded stadiums happen. They happen in the Rams play in one that's privately owned, and then the Patriots do as well. So you could have a whole new model played out. But I do personally think that the Bears want to stay in Chicago, or they want to stay in Illinois. And my guess is we'll figure something out. But it sure is sloppy, and it sure is it's so incompetent. The way our Pritzker and others have acted here. And you saw how quickly Indiana operated. They showed you what a AAA rated state that's well run, that they can be decisive. They acted quickly, and they offered the Bears something. We're fumbling and can't get something together.
Yeah, was that a pun on a football play? They're fumbling so much.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean to because everybody's doing it, but it actually accidentally came out of my mouth.
Okay, so let me then follow up here because, I mean, for instance, what drew the Chiefs away? The Chiefs were just having states bid with how much corporate welfare are you going to give us? How much in taxpayer money are you going to give us? So what do you think would be the right balance? And I'll go back to like your experience with Illinois Policy, who does great work here. Is at some point, what's the right balance between we definitely want to keep this multi-billion-dollar thing, which obviously has a lot of civic pride in Chicago and throughout Illinois, with, wait a minute, you're a multi-billion-dollar industry here. Why are taxpayers giving you anything? So where's that right, I guess, middle ground that should be acceptable for those who are worried about taxpayers?
Well, yeah, there's different ways to structure deals, and that last structure they passed, whatever time in the morning on Sunday, tried to create a publicly owned stadium, much like the Bears is now on Soldier Field, a stadium that's owned by the public, and then there's just a lease to the Bears. And so, what gets tricky for a guy like me, I'm a finance guy, and I've worked on a lot of transactions, and I hate not knowing what the truth is, and we'll never know the truth of what our Illinois legislature does, because it's a very dishonest one. And so it's hard to know what kind of subsidies are being given away. But I've said all along, here's my statement. We should be having a mega deal property tax cut for Illinoisans. We lose a stadium or two full of people every year to outmigration. We're losing people out the wazoo. And so what we should do is come up with a deal that gives property tax relief to Illinois, property tax relief. And then that can be paired with a deal for the Bears. But I think first and foremost we need to take care of the people, because if we keep losing people, we're going to have a big mess. And I also think the Bears need to see that we're a legitimate state. You look at Indiana, as I said, AAA rated, well run. They're winning people, they're winning deals, they're growing, they're lowering taxes, they're thriving, and we're not. And so the Bears need to see a totally different Illinois. Make it easier to stay here, because you want to stay in a place that's growing and thriving. That's where you want to be. So all that said, I think there's a deal that has to be done for the people first. Start with a 5% or 10% tax rebate, property tax rebate across the state, and then talk about a Bears deal.
We're visiting with Ted Dabrowski, founder of Wirepoints news service. And Ted, you did mention a lot of the taxes, including the gas taxes. The Assembly actually did look at, they did actually pass some kind of suspension of the gas tax. What did they pass, and is that good policy? Because that's the money that pays for the roads and the bridges. Well,
just excuse me for my sarcasm, whatever, but whoop-de-doo. It stops a 1.3 cent increase in the tax hike that's coming in July. So the taxes are not going to go up by 1.3 cents. Look, Illinois now has the second or third highest gas taxes in the country. And we have two taxes, by the way. We have a flat tax on gas, and then we have a sales tax on gas. And as gas prices go up, it's 6.25%. So as gas prices go up, guess what? The state's getting more and more money. And that's not money. That's a windfall. They should give all that money back to taxpayers. So I'm really unexcited by what the government's doing. They should be really bringing down those gas taxes, and of course bringing down spending, because this is why they always want more money. They increase spending, as we just talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you got to feed the beast, and the beast has to consume it from somewhere, as we were just saying. All right, Ted, I know Illinois' got a little different schedule, so the session is over. What's next? There's some downtime. There's a lull here for a little bit, right?
Yeah, there's a veto session in the fall, which they can take up, the Bears, for example. But I think what you're likely to see is Pritzker call a special session. And bring the legislature back to discuss the Bears, because they can't leave that they can't leave that sitting there waiting. The Bears have said that they wanted to decide spring or early summer, and that's now. So if we want to compete and do something, I was saying also they should do something transparent. Bring some financial experts and tell the public what's going on. The public deserves that. When you're talking about spending billions on something like this, the public needs to know what's going on, and I don't trust the government, and nobody should.
Yeah, without it. All right, Ted Dabrowski, really appreciate you giving us the update here. We've already tagged you on X or Twitter here. People want to follow what you're doing. Best way to do it is how?
Oh, you go to @Ted for Illinois, and on Twitter there, and Facebook and Instagram, and we'll tag yours as well. So appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon, Ted. Thanks so much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, we got that debate coming up tonight. Doors are going to open at 5:45. Now, that's the doors to the theater at Lindenwood University's Scheidegger Center. Tim and Chris are going to be doing their show from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock there at the Scheidegger Center. You can come out and say hi. We'll just be able to get in the theater around 5:45. The programming will begin around 6:30, 6:35. The debate itself starts at 7 o'clock. We are going to be broadcasting that debate on News Talk STL, but I would love for you to be there, because if you're there, you can submit questions for the candidates to ask. NewsTalkSTL.com for more details.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't
final. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Craving the freshest in town? Anthony's Produce is your daily destination for nature's finest. Browse our rainbow of quality fruits and vegetables. Always fresh, always delicious. Hosting an event? Let us create stunning fruit bouquets and vegetable trays. And we proudly stock hundreds of locally made products. And yes, we've even got seasoned firewood for those cozy evenings. Available for pickup or delivery. Anthony's Produce. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 701 Jungerman Road or anthonysproduce.com.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
A lot of my friends, baseball players, teammates, opponents, living on the Illinois side. We've got, in the leagues I play in, we're kind of balanced between Illinois and Missouri, and I can't tell you how many times I hear the guys from Illinois, when we're playing on the Missouri side, like, oh, I got to fill up with gas.
Yeah.
Before I go back home. Not a joke. That's the difference in the prices to where even the guys who do pretty well, financially, they're like, ooh, I'm going to fill up here before I go back to Illinois. Well, everything Ted Dabrowski was just talking about, that's why. So what are they doing? They're spending their money in another state because there's more incentive to do it. There's less of a barrier to do it. And that's what taxes are, big barriers to economic activity. Now, some taxes are a necessary evil. I get that. I get that. But we're talking, guys with pensions and retirees and guys who are in the prime of their career. They're saying, oh yeah, I'm a mile on this side right here. Let me top off my gas tank. And these aren't guys who are hurting for money, but it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah, my mom came down here for Memorial Day weekend, and because she's been doing a lot of estate sale and garage sale type
and she's
stuff.
in northern Illinois.
Oh, she's like right next to Chicago.
Yeah,
like has to deal and suffer with that sort of nonsense, right? But she was visiting family, realized how close it was, came down here, and to look at it, she's like, wow, it is so much cheaper down here. And I'm like, you should have been here in February then. But so among some of the things that you find at estate sales are like those old school gas cans. And the recurring joke of the day was, I should buy all the ones we find so I can fill up before I go back to Illinois because it's not going to be this cheap. But she was adamant about making sure like every last little bit of gas could come from the Missouri side before she went back to Illinois.
And this is nothing new. When I was in high school in the 80s and I lived in Camp Point, Illinois, and then later Quincy after I graduated high school for just a little bit before I went to Mizzou and moved to Missouri in 89, I guess it was, 89 or 90. And when we would go out to hang out on the weekends, we would drive, in Camp Point's like 20 miles from Quincy. So it's 23 miles from the river. And we knew when we would go out, whether we'd go to the movies or whether we'd go cruising around the mall or whether we'd go get some food or go to wherever, what we knew is that at the beginning of the night, you drive into West Quincy, Missouri, fill up your gas tank, and then go in, because even back in the 80s, we knew we could save money.
Wow.
By going just across the river, just across the bridge, filling up, and then heading right back. And there was like in that part of West Quincy, I don't know, I haven't been there for 30 years, but that's basically all that was there were a couple of gas stations. It was just this traffic of people from Missouri, or from Illinois rather, coming across, filling up, grabbing a soft drink or grabbing a candy bar and then heading right back to Illinois, where we would not buy gasoline.
Well, that's the incredible thing right now, at least, is that I see a lot of people, again, my knuckleheaded aged people, that they don't seem to understand that the president himself does not absolutely control. Like, it doesn't say California, you're going to have $10 gas, and Texas, you're going to have $2 gas. And with the Iran war and everything going on, there is definitely
irrefutably the prices of gas have gone up because of the war in Iran.
Irrefutably because of that conflict, but the degree to which the gas increases does not come from the president.
Correct.
And so I have seen people that I know from back home in Illinois, and they're like, see, you MAGA people, this and that, and they're complaining about it, but it's like, why don't you look at your own governor? There's a 50-cent flat tax on gasoline, not including
per gallon.
And then diesel is actually higher than that. And you have to basically, if you have to fill up in Illinois as a diesel truck to get you the gasoline, that's more expensive. Then you have to calculate population density. And now, I think it's July 1st, another gas tax is going into effect under Pritzker.
Well, that's what they suspended, that 1 point.
Okay, so they did suspend that then.
Yeah, but they didn't end it. They didn't repeal it. They just suspended it. That's what Ted was just talking about.
And then you have your county taxes and sometimes your city taxes. And so, yes, there is some pain and pressure that we're feeling from the Iran conflict, but you can't sit there and blame the president for everything.
Well, and gas prices were crazy stupid under Biden, and some of that was the supply and demand, the stopping the pipelines, the stopping the new drilling. I mean,
the Green
stopping.
Deal nonsense,
there was a lot. So the all levels of government affect that. So yeah, the Biden administration sent market signals that we're going to start cutting off supply. Well, the demand isn't changing.
Yes.
So that does send signals to the market and drives things up. And one of the first things President Trump did is just repeal a lot of those things. Prices went back down. I don't know that it was wise it was not wise, let me put it this way, to release a bunch of oil from the strategic reserve. I don't think that was wise. It did drive prices down, but I don't think that was wise because, there's a reason that we have those strategic reserves. But, it was all done to do that. You remember the supply chain stuff. You remember, and so each president has done something to influence it. But to your point, the tax burden makes a massive difference. The prices of gas and the prices of oil do vary a little bit from area to area because there's a different cost of distribution.
Yes.
So that does make a difference based literally on geography. It makes a difference. But the reality is that one of the biggest drivers of the prices are the taxes at the state and sometimes at the local level.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, does this not then in a way make the argument in favor of maybe being a little bit more isolationist with some of our stuff? Because right now the reason why so I've looked into this as much as I'm qualified to, and we do produce most of our energy domestically. We have about 10 years of reserve oil left right now, and then we have an estimated 300 to 500 years worth of untapped oil in the continental United States.
That's before you get to the natural gas.
Yes, and so
we are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas.
Yes, so I don't think that, at least within my lifetime, we're going to have to worry about going dry completely. But at the same time, part of the reason why our prices domestically have gone up is because they do energy futures as the entire global market for energy.
Right. Well, it's a global market. There's nothing we can do about that. Yeah.
But does that then not say, well, maybe, is there not a way then to try to price based on domestic instead of global then? Or?
Well, but the thing is that it's interrelated with every other industry and every other product. There are things that we just can't produce here, and the trade and the buying and the selling and all that, it's all related. So you can't say we're going to become an isolationist and then all of a sudden we're cut off from the stuff that we need. So it's not, you can't do it as a one-way street. We're going to be isolationist here, but we're going to be free traders over here. You either free trade or you don't. And also keep in mind, free trade has a tendency to limit war.
Yes.
Because it's really bad business to kill your customer.
Well, I love that phrase. Yeah. And I was thinking about that too. I mean, if you're prosperous and everything's going good, then why would you want to risk jeopardizing all of that to go in and harm people?
I heard some people really upset saying that, for instance, some of the oil companies in the U.S. who, by the way, they're not the good guys. Don't get me wrong, but they're taking advantage of what's happening because they're selling a lot of the domestic oil around the world. Well, the rest of the world's getting cut off from oil because of what, the blockade between Iran's blockade and our blockade. That's driving up prices. So the oil companies are going, ooh, we can sell it for a lot of money over there.
Yeah.
So our domestic supplies are being sold somewhere else. If those domestic supplies stayed here, the prices would go down, but the global markets tell them, sell them over there, which is all the more reason that the war is driving up the cost of oil in particular, which then has a residual effect and drives up prices everywhere else.
So I guess in the opposite end is that would it not be better for us to pay less in taxes so we have more money to account for and to kind of cushion ourselves when stuff like this happens? I guarantee you, whoever the future president may or may not be, there is going to come a time, just the way that markets work, that something's going to happen that drives off costs, maybe not in oil, but maybe in something else, maybe electricity or water or something.
Mm-hmm.
So why then, and I'm not trying to tie it back to Amendment 5 specifically, but why not then try to find where can we cut the financial burden for the workers to be able to have more access to their own capital they work for, so that they can decide where they want to put the money.
The burden that can most, I mean, because there are things that are going to be financial cost in the economy no matter what. That's just part of the economy. But government is one that imposes burdens on us, because the whole point of government taxing to provide stuff means we're taking from some and we're giving it to others.
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose. Because if government takes from you and then gives back to you, then they just take a slice as the middleman. But when government says we've got to have all these programs to provide, that means they're taking from one, it's filtering it through government, then giving it to the favored. So who's going to be, that sort of thing. And so when it comes to reducing the burden, especially on the working class, particularly on the working poor, taxes are one of the things that harm them the most. And I hear people say, yeah, but the poor don't pay in income taxes. For the most part, that's correct. Although in Missouri, your taxes start, I think, at $9,000 and something. Anything over that, you get taxed at the same rate as everybody else. And so if you're just receiving services and you're not paying anything into it, well, guess what? I'm tired of paying
your burden
for you. I need my money back. I could do a lot more with that. I could, and the fact is that it's mine.
Yes.
And then so that's why I think consumption taxes are a better policy than income taxes. But we're just getting a lot of confusion over it. And this is what we mentioned a little bit earlier with the Amendment 5 debate. There's a lot of Republicans who are siding with Democrats on this and opposing it. The argument saying that they're going to double or triple the sales tax rate in Missouri is just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's absolute nonsense. But what they could accurately say is twice as many things or 3 times as many things may be subject to the same sales tax. But that is very, very different than saying that sales tax is going to be doubled or tripled. That's completely different things. And that's the challenge for those who support Amendment 5 is they have a complex proposal that still has to be, frankly, be partially written, because the Amendment 5 just says, legislature, you will do this. The state constitution wants us to be mandated a no state income tax state.
Yeah.
And so the proponents, the pro-Amendment 5 folks saying this is a better policy, look at other states that have done it successfully, and this is complicated. The opponents of Amendment 5 can easily say, this is a big change, this is frightening, there are no guarantees on this, this, and this. Whether they're right or not, it's a very simple, easy to understand fear. And so selling something complicated that requires a big change and scaring people over keeping the status quo, that's a much easier sell.
Yeah.
I told Dennis Ganol, matter of fact, at our AFP town hall event, which you can find online somewhere, I told him, I said, if I were the campaign manager against Amendment 5, I would not try to match you fact for fact. I would not try to out-debate you on the issue itself. All I would do is try to keep it in simple, fearful terms and win that way.
Ooh.
That's all I would do.
So you find the pressure point, essentially, and you just hold on to that.
You don't have to have a winning message if you're against Amendment 5. All really you really probably want to do is just make people wonder and question whether or not your complex answer is the right one or not. Because if people don't understand it, people can get scared. And one way to make sure that people don't understand it is to implement confusion. This is the time of year you need to be saying, hey, are we going to do that deck this time around? because now's the time you want to book that crew, but you want to make sure that they are doing it right. Mike Ferguson here from our friends at STL Fenceworks, the website, stlfenceworks.com. And I'm saying do it now. Don't get into the first really hot weekend of the summer, maybe late this month, maybe next month, and go, hey, let's do a deck, and then find out that a lot of other people know about STL Fenceworks because they've been around over 50 years, and they are booking up all the time. Here's the thing. STL Fenceworks uses local workers. They use American crews. They use American-made products, but they are really good at what they do. Go to stlfenceworks.com and see how they have transformed other homes into those safe, stylish retreats, and they can do that for you as well. And we're talking about materials, and we're talking about workmanship that is not only American, but guaranteed as well. It is cost efficient. It's going to last you longer. If you want to go to the home improvement store, have your cousin's buddy from the bar do it for you, you could probably save a couple bucks right now. Until then, you have to refinish it, retouch it, restain it, retreat it, and you end up losing a lot of money, and it's not done as well. Find out what STL Fenceworks can do for you. Click on the estimate button. You can even get a virtual reality look at what your home could be like. stlfenceworks.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
We're kicking off a stretch of really nice June weather that will last through the rest of the work week, really. It all starts today with lower humidity, plentiful sunshine, a high around 82 this afternoon, a dry breeze out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear and comfy tonight, a low of 58. Let's keep it going tomorrow. Mostly sunny and 83 Wednesday. Humidity remains low. Our next chance of rain does not arrive until late Friday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary with Tommy Lahren next.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Here's Tommy Lahren.
When you drive out the tax base, you drive out the wealthy, you drive out the investors, then the city and the state and the government can take over. That's exactly what he wants. He wants a city filled with Section 8. That's essentially the dream that he's promising for New York City, for all these young people that voted for him because they thought rent was going to be cheaper and they were going to have fast, free buses. No, what you're going to get is you're going to get a city filled with Section 8 housing. So I hope that you like that idealistic dream that you saw on Instagram or TikTok, because that's not what you're going to get, my friends. You're going to get exactly what communism, Marxism, socialism brings you. Take a look at Cuba. Take a look at Venezuela. Take a look at any of the many countries where all of this has failed. And that's going to be your future, especially if you keep electing people like Mamdani across this country.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Democracy is loud, and tonight, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate tonight. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis and Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Wonder if there was a sign that somehow slips me by. If you're right at the edge or you found someone else, let me know.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Okay, weird question.
Oh?
What is it that makes so many entertainers just dumb and self-important, and they really feel like it's their job to lecture us on stuff?
How much time do you have?
We've had about 8.5 minutes here.
Okay.
I'm just saying this happened again, and it's one of the bands that I really like. I mean, I really like the Black Crowes, right? They first kind of hit the scene. I was in college, I think, and their cover of Otis Redding's "Hard to Handle" came out and is a huge hit. That, Jealous Again, She Talks to Angels. It's just a really good band. I really, really like their stuff. But they had this thing where the singer, his name's Chris Robinson, he decided to lecture his audience the other night. They were doing a show in Tampa, Florida over the weekend. And they put their kind of mascot, their logo up on the screen, and which is, unless they've changed it, it was a crow, and like a magpie. And it was dressed up in Uncle Sam stuff.
Ooh. And
so some of the audience were chanting USA, USA, and that pissed off the singer.
What? Why?
Then he gets into this debate, and then he's getting booed, and then some people are cheering him, and some people, I mean, it's just really, it seems like bad business to tell the world, I want you to spend money to see us in concert, to play these songs that were popular in 1992. And in exchange for that, I'm going to take your money and then lecture you and be condescending to you because don't you know who I am? I can sing and play guitar. Therefore, I understand things better than you.
Yeah, here is the etiquette of how you must act when you're at my show.
Yeah. And you know what? Setting some rules. Like I saw a video the other day. It was like some country guy, and it was like some little intimate thing. Like they were on stools, and doing their acoustic. And there were some people, I guess, who were just jabbering. And the guy was like, people paid a lot of money to hear these songs. Would you please kindly shut the F up?
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody cheers wildly. And he kind of shames them into letting him get back to their performance. I get that. I get that. Because then, everybody else is like, I can't hear because this guy's talking about the jerk in the office.
Yeah.
So here's the copy that I've got with this audio clip. Chris Robinson of the Black Crowes angered some audience members in Tampa Sunday night. A picture of the band's mascot dressed as Uncle Sam appeared on the screen. Then some chanted, USA, USA. That's when Chris said, quoting, "Thanks for the geography lesson. I don't know what you have to be proud of."
Wow.
Right.
Maybe the fact that you live in a country to where you can make a living professionally and make lots of money doing what you do.
Yeah. And so, of course, that got him some jeers and some boos. And then let me pick up about the next 20 or so seconds. Here's what happened at the concert.
Some of us have real faith. And for those of you booing us, some of us are not afraid. And we most assuredly are not ignorant. So, thank you.
So thanks for your money. Please buy a T-shirt. Thanks for buying the beer for the venue and the pretzel sticks or whatever you got. And you're ignorant because you were chanting USA, USA. What gets into these court jesters, modern day court jesters? What gets into their mind that says, well, people like my music, therefore I'm going to lecture them, even for the musicians with whom I agree? Shut up and just play the music. Let me unite with people that I disagree with for a couple of hours just over something. Let me go to the sports game and keep the politics out of it. Listen, you're free to say, I'm not saying you're not allowed to say it. You're free to say what you want. I just don't get what makes so many of these performers so dumb when they get up on a stage. You're not that important. These songs were popular 35 years ago.
Well, within the music world, it's a well-known stereotype that singers are often egomaniacs.
Mm-hmm.
They think, hey, my voice matters and what I have to say matters, and that's why they become the singers. I do think that there is a thing to where you become just so aggrandized in your own hype. You know, you start to believe, well, I must be important. I must be a genius. I must be the voice of my generation if people are coming out to my concert and paying me to perform. And they lose that sense of,
no, I want to hear jealous again.
Yeah.
That's it.
They lose that sense of, why are the people actually here? Is it because of me personally and my views in the world, or is it because of my band and the performance that we put on?
Here, I mean, and to say some of us aren't ignorant. Okay, so I don't know if Black Crowes are coming to St. Louis or not, but if they are, just understand you're a conservative, or you're MAGA, or you're free market, or Republican,
just patriotic,
or you're just patriotic of any stripe. Well, apparently Chris Robinson and the Black Crowes think you're ignorant. Make your free market decision with your money however you choose at that point. That's just dumb business, and that's what I don't get. Like, for instance, like MLB, now it's Pride Month, Major League Baseball. One team, the Texas Rangers, said, you know what, we're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
In the NHL, more and more teams like, we're not, it's not worth it. Most of the teams, and most of them are doing it, they're making a market calculation on this. But why go and drive off a significant portion of your audience? Listen, nobody's going out and buying new music from retro artists.
Check it out on YouTube for free. But
Right. I mean, for instance, I'm, our sales guy, Ethan, and I, we're going to go see Sammy Hagar in a couple weeks. And I think the opening act, is Rick Springfield. And so we're going to hear the music from 40 years ago. That's the point.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a good time, and hopefully nobody decides to go on a political rant. Even if you agree, even if I agree with you, make a business decision and don't. It's just smart business. I'm not saying take away their First Amendment right. They got a right to say whatever they want. I will defend the right to say whatever they want. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I don't know what brainworm crawls into their noggin and makes them think, you know what? I think I can emotionally stomp on about half of these people and I'll be fine.
Yeah, Coyote makes an interesting point, is that it seems that performers today are suffering from the partying they took part in their youth, and that's why they think they're more influential and more relevant than they really are.
I survived this stuff. I didn't. I'm not saying I did it to that degree, but
Yeah, you got to be careful. It can come back to haunt you, make you look like a fool at your own concert. But in other news, there's a special graduation ceremony later this month, and you are invited to cheer on the graduates at 8:50. Let's tell you how this is part of a pro-life work being done in St. Louis.
Kill me fast. I'll stay sleeping in the bed we made.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Colombo and Company.
A whole lot going on as we start the month of June. We'll get you caught up on all the latest headlines Tuesday. Plus, it's debate night. Join us for the St. Charles County Executive Debate at Lindenwood. Details at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Toldjah here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on Newstalk STL.
All right, we got time to kind of go over what's happening in the news. So you're fully informed when you show up to work, and you're fully informed when you show up to the debate tonight.
And you can just repeat everything we told you on the air so you can sound as smart as we are.
That's old. I don't know if that's a life goal. All right. 8:49 right now here. All right. The fight in court, not over yet, but as of right now, Amendment 5 still on the ballot for August. Also, in the city, they're wrestling over the question of paying high-ranking police officers more money. And there's a lot more to it than just the dollars. Also, I do hope you're planning to join us in St. Charles for the big debate this evening. Let's go ahead and squeeze in one more news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Great American Divers. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Okay, one more time today. Here's what's happening. Amendment 5 stays on the ballot. That is the ruling from a Cole County judge on Monday. The challenge to the proposal claims that it involves more than one subject on the question, which, if that were true, it would be against Missouri law. An appeal to the ruling has already been filed. The deadline to make any changes to the August election ballot is 1 week from today, June 9th.
Ooh, so we're getting to the cutting tape, basically, at this.
Yeah, and that means that the pressure on the appellate court, probably eventually the Supreme Court, is going to be to make rulings quickly on this particular thing. So I think we're going to see a lot of activity, and we're going to talk to Attorney General Catherine Hanaway next week on the program.
Okay, so because I was going to ask, do we know what they're claiming are the multiple issues that would violate the statute?
Basically, yeah. One would be the elimination of the income tax, and then the other is the possibility of establishing sales taxes, among some other things, and reforming the tax. So there's like various taxing. They're all related to taxes, but they're different angles of it.
They would want them to be split into different separate.
Right, right. It's just, honestly, this is just how it works now. If there's something you don't like, you sue over it. If nothing else, you could delay it, and you could make your opponent spend a lot of money defending it. And so this is just part of the thing. All right, a Brooklyn man who threatened to kill an ICE agent and that ICE agent's family now facing federal charges. This after dozens of protesters were arrested Sunday night outside of New Jersey's Delaney Hall ICE facility, where the accusation is that the detainees are on hunger strike because of poor conditions. Border Czar Tom Homan was on Fox's Hannity last night.
One of our officers got bitten. Another officer got severely injured. I mean, they were attacking our ICE officers because the local and the state law enforcement wouldn't even respond to help us. Now, we got state and local doing their job.
Okay, so Homeland Security Department denies any hunger strike, and they deny allegations of poor conditions. New Jersey U.S. Senator Andy Kim claims the detainees showed him spoiled food. Newark's mayor imposed a curfew around the facility, back to what Tom Homan was just talking about. That is in effect from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern time there in the area, and it seems to be making some difference. All right, the Board of Police Commissioners in St. Louis, they want to use about $2 million to increase salaries for lieutenants, captains, majors, and lieutenant colonels. As KMOV's Russell Kinsall reports, Mayor Kara Spencer not on board with that idea.
The board says these raises would help keep current officers and make their salaries more competitive with the rest of the region. Mayor Kara Spencer sounded off about the proposal and how it could impact the city's finances. Mayor Spencer says, in part, this proposal would no doubt have major impacts, not only on the SLMPD budget, but also on the city's overall budget, as it would necessarily trigger similar raises in the fire department. It is incredibly irresponsible to handle significant raises outside of a thorough and thoughtful process, which this hardly appears to be.
Okay, so the mayor is part of this board of police commissioners because the new state law that set that up includes the mayor on that board, regardless of who the mayor is. But what's happening, and I've mentioned this a couple times, what's happening right now is that the bill has come due for defunding the police, and the bill got more and more expensive over the years, and now it's due.
And unfortunately, she's the one that has to pay the bill. But at the same time, I don't understand how she's saying this is not well thought out. You don't, if you're at a certain rank, that means you've been with the police force long enough to understand the inner workings of good policing and how that's supposed to be done, and maybe even ways to improve the way that it's done. But you're known to the community, and if you're losing people because St. Louis is not, I mean, it's still violent in St. Louis in a lot of areas, and you're losing seasoned people on the force to go nearby for similar or better pays, or at least better safety for the police's lives.
In smaller communities,
in smaller communities, then you're going to end up in an even worse position than if you just didn't pay them.
Yeah, so if approved, these raises would take effect July 1st. So we're talking like not even a month from right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I suspect that those decisions will probably be made in the next meeting, which will happen in the next week or so. Speaking of what's happening in the city police say another round of smash and grabs happened over the weekend. This time it was in the Central West End. About 30 cars were broken into early Sunday morning around 2:30, and these were just they went down the street and just smash, and then grab whatever they could. In a lot of cases, the cars didn't have anything in them. They just smashed them and looked around and got nothing. According to KMOV, security video shows that at least some of the thieves were armed. This was the third time over the past month that multiple cars were broken into in what appears to be coordinated thefts.
This is becoming way too common.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible that they haven't figured out how to do, I guess, better surveillance of the area. It's
Well,
probably
they've
the
got
same
those-
handful of people that are doing this stuff.
Oh, it almost certainly is. Almost certainly is, because they haven't been caught. Now, they have caught a few over the years, but they're going to keep going until they get caught.
Yeah.
You know what you need to catch them, though? A police department.
Very good point.
Just saying. Okay, our friends at Reach Reproductive Health are hosting a special ceremony this month, and you're invited. Okay, so here's what's going on. The first Reach University of Parenting class is going to be recognized on June 25th. And you say, Mike, I don't know anybody in that class. Correct. But they really hope that the community shows up to support these people. Reach CEO Levi Hart hopes that the graduates get a lot of community support because, as he tells us, this is a really big accomplishment for the women involved and, frankly, for the men involved.
This will be the first time some of these folks have ever walked a graduation aisle. So it'd be really special for them. These are parents who chose life for their babies, have walked through our parenting classes, and there'll actually be a couple testimonies that night as well.
Okay, so the ceremony is going to happen at Chaminade on the 25th. More information is at outreachforlife.org/events. This would be a good thing to go talk to like your church group or your whatever club or whatever group, because we talk about pro-life work not being the politics of it, being stuff like this. These were crisis pregnancies where Reach, through your support, not only gave them an opportunity to choose life, but also are giving them the life skills to become a family and carry on that legacy.
Yeah, imagine how fantastic it would feel to know not only did you choose life, but that your community is still with you there.
Yeah.
And I think this is a fantastic opportunity.
So right now, email or text, somebody in your church group or your office or whatever nonprofit, charity, or community group. Text them right now. Say, look up this thing at reachforlife.org. All right, tonight is the big night, the St. Charles County Executive Race debate on the Lindenwood University campus. Pre-debate program starts around 6:35. Steve Ellman, Jason Law, Bill Eigel will be debating starting at 7 o'clock. We are going to broadcast that here on News Talk STL. Doors open at 5:45. This is a free event that is open to the public, so join Susie, myself, Jamie Allman at the Scheidegger Center for the Performing Arts this evening. Details, like I said, at newstalkstl.com. Come on out and see us. Thank you to the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise for making this happen.